I can't believe we're just doxing ourselves on Andykin's live stream right now.
He's not streaming it.
No, I am.
Any potential employers?
It's not attached to your name. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I don't think they're tuning in, thankfully.
Oh, thank God.
Delete the
That's,
VOD.
that's some good blackmail for me, though. You should record that.
Oh, no.
Clip
no.
it.
Clip
it.
Clip the blackmail.
Clip it.
All right, Andy. Stop stream, delete VOD, and then restream.
All right. I got you.
I actually did not know you were streaming.
Yeah, I'll just be like, I'll be showing it to you on my phone before one of our sets. Be like, you know what to do, man. Like, the ball's in your court.
So funny. It's so
Oh, man.
powerful.
God, I wonder if there's like people that like put influencer on their fucking resumes now. Instagram
Well,
influencer.
That would be easily validated.
If you're
Yeah, that's
if
true.
you're an influencer, you don't even like need a job at this point. You just get sponsorship money.
Yeah, the money some of those people make from sponsor and affiliate is kind of crazy. I'm sure there is kind of like a dead zone where you're making enough to like feel like you're obligated to do it, but not enough to really live, and that's probably where it
Right.
hurts.
Yeah, it's fucking astounding. I don't watch him, but I know about him. Like Aiden Ross, he doesn't do anything. He's just some fucking poser. Just turns on his camera.
That's half the people these days, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what the fuck? I couldn't do it even. The money was there. I don't know. I can't sell my soul like that for money. I gotta do something I really like. I don't know.
Yeah,
Sell your soul for something you like.
that works too.
All right, rankings.
Yeah,
True.
let's do it.
Jaimin. Dogs, I think you should start off because I know you're like Jaime's #1 fan.
Probably, yeah.
Send your patience.
So, Jaime, I would say like post quarantine, so like going to like SSC 2022, had like a crazy level up through net play, and I think it took him a little while to start like getting in the flow of applying that to in-person tournaments and console, and I think that's what we saw from like 2022 leading into this year. Even though he was ranked the same, this year was much more contentious at the time. So getting number
definitely.
two just means more than it did last year. So I don't view it as like a stagnation. I view it as an improvement. And furthermore, like what more proof do you need but fucking taking a set off Super Boom fan?
Yeah, that's insane. With Mario.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with Mario. Like Boom fan literally like showed the community how to play that matchup. So
It's like an in joke where like if someone doesn't know how to edge guard Mario's Falcon, it's like, oh, did you watch the video? Boom, showed it.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
I
It's
was
a very
there-
More than just
video.
edgeguarding too, like it's neutral. But yeah, that's like a total meme.
I
Oh,
was
you watched
there.
the video?
Yeah, I was there
Yeah.
in the chat saying that. It's like maybe Boom should rewatch his video. What the fuck is going on?
That's just brutal.
No, he threw.
I remember the
So he could get
tournament after that video came out. I played dogs and some friendlies, and he used every single one of them against me when I was playing Mario. I was like, all right, that's enough. This game's this is over.
Is that
Mario's
one
done.
to switch off Mario?
No, it was actually EG at boss battle 3 or 4,
Yeah.
but it was Falcon. Falcon versus Mario feels bad. So
So-
Jaime being able to beat Boom because of it in that matchup, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just wanted to say that Jaime's got a little mini arc going on because I kind of pay attention a little bit. Like I remember Jaime thinking, I think it was like a year ago, he got ranked like 23, and he was just kind of just thinking to himself like, oh, maybe I've just not got it anymore. Maybe I'm getting old, and it's amazing to see that, Jaime at 36 is probably the highest rank he's ever been, and I don't ascribe age as like the be all say all or anything like that. It's just like amazing to me that like it is possible because a lot of people tend to look at like video games, right? It's like a young man's sport, especially competitive
Mhm.
games. Like, but I just don't think that's true. I think
I have to, I have
I
to
don't know.
imagine that's more because of old people just or older people just not wanting to play the game anymore, rather than their reaction time getting too slow or something of that nature.
Yeah, Wizzy was like to me one time in a call. He's like, "What am I gonna do when I'm like 27? I'll have no reaction time. I won't be able to play anymore. I'll be
Yeah.
out of a job." I'm like, "Wizzy, come on, man. It's not like you just completely dumpster it. Like Boom's reaction time is still fucking incredible, and he's in his 30s.
Hmm.
Like I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not. It's like, and if we even look at like sports itself, like you got hitters that are still in like their 40s, still playing the best they've played, or even better. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean, if you look at this top 10 itself, you have nearly everyone in there is in their 30s as it is. It's more about time spent playing the game, and your instincts are they speed up your reaction time as you go, anyways. So
Yeah,
if you've seen the same instance over and over and over thousands of times, you can just instinctually react to it quicker.
Yeah.
yeah. And it sounds a little bit like Cope, but honestly, I just don't think 30 is actually that old. And I think that stigma of like,
No,
oh, video games are just a young man's sport for 18-year
yeah.
olds and shit like that. I think
If
that's
Tom Brady can play football until he's 45, we can play Smash
yeah,
until we're 60.
fuck it. SSC, Super at 45. I'm there, baby.
As long as the
Show,
hands
Why
hold
not?
showing my
up, you
kids,
know.
my little kids, little Supas
Honestly,
running around.
Jaime's still going to be there
So yeah,
beating
going
KD3 and Bark and Janko and whoever.
back to the Jaime thing. Like, what's so nuts to me about Jaime beating Boom with Mario is Boom just got done playing Mario a fuck ton during like that time before Pro Evolution.
Yeah,
So like
he's just more aware of
he
his
knows all the
options.
gimmicks. Like yeah, he like knows the timing goes and like if you're not like precise, like maybe you should not go for like the cover like tech in place option, you know.
Hmm.
And he chose to still do that. So that's part of why I'm like fucking conspiracy theorist, like thinking fucking through a little bit. Like something inside of one of he's playing in pools and beat him. And he play in winners and then loses, and then
Yeah,
plays in winners bracket and loses, and then plays in losers and annihilates them.
Yeah,
It was very strange.
I don't know if he really threw just because he did seem a little upset, like after, like,
Yeah.
I think
um,
he didn't play until 3 in the morning. So having to come back through losers probably wasn't exactly what he wanted to do.
yeah,
Yeah,
Sure, but he is was on a degen schedule,
I
and he
think
was also on West Coast time, so that also helped out. I wanted to say the KD, the 2 times KD and Josh Brody wins, also like crazy standout to me, especially how good they were last year. Where they were
Yeah,
like
I
6 and
definitely
7.
appreciate
yeah.
having multiple wins over top level players like this, even more so than just like having a one win. If it was just one versus KD and one versus Bark, it's like, okay, that's really good, but the more times you do it, it's exponential.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
that's also really
positive
just
testament on KD.
really. I remember last year. I think some people seem to some people forget that Jaime was top 10 last year as well, and I feel like
Hmm.
this top 10 ranking for 2 years in a row just kind of solidifies his consistency, like his win on Nicaragua from last year, and then this year he has a
Oh,
win on Boom.
Yeah,
It's
that's
crazy.
true. I actually had my rankings wrong then, but there was a year where Jaime thought he couldn't do it anymore, and I remember saying that and
hmm
him thinking that he couldn't keep up anymore. He was just too old, but it just shows that that's not the case, and senior patience is here to stay. I
yeah, that's
think
got it.
something that is underrepresented for Jaime is that he's so good. Like people just look at Jaime, right, and they think, oh, he's just holding an area of space.
Hmm.
But what it is that he's deceptive in his threat range. So the moment you come into that threat range is the moment he just, does his thing. And I'm
Yeah,
sure dogs can probably corroborate on that thought process because I think again he likes Jaime a lot, and I'm not knocking him for it. I just like to hear what he thinks of Jaime as a player because I think he
Sure.
notices stuff like that too.
Yeah, I think Jaime is just like the most elusive player. Like, if not the most, like easily like top three. And, like he will like use these crazy specific double jump like away from you when you get in that threat range that Super was talking about, and he'll barely outspace your like stick hop up air with whatever character you're using. I'll just counterattack you like so perfectly. Like he just like wrote the script of what you're about to do.
Yeah,
It's so hard to touch him.
yeah, it's always just like you watch him or people watch him and like, oh, he's just sitting there. Well, he's not doing it. Like, how is this guy like he's just standing there menacingly? Like, how's this guy beating people?
So a story I like to tell is the first time I played Jaime was at SSC 2016, and I played him, and compared to other top players, he was just like literally standing. And I was like, "What the fuck? He's just standing there." And I go to try to hit him, and nothing is working. I'm like, "This is insane. Standing is overpowered." So like I got really excited. I went to David, I went to Beef, and I was like, Beef, have you played Jaime yet? He's like, no, I haven't. I was like, dude, you gotta. It's fucking insane. It makes no sense. And then he goes, and then he comes back. He's like, dude, I played Jaime. I was like, what? Isn't that like such a mind fuck that you could just not move and like be successful? Like, it blew both of our minds.
Yeah, it's a great strategy.
And it's his
Yeah,
it's his own. It's his own too. I think there's a lot of people like you can't just do what Jaime does and be successful. It only works for
think-
Jaime himself.
I think that's why he works so well with Mario, is because that's how Mario works best.
Yes, it's very
And
true.
just no one else can do it like he can do it.
Yeah, I think everyone in the top 10 has like a very specific thing about them that really sets them like above everyone else.
Yeah.
Like are we done with Jaime, Andy? Or are we moving on
Well,
to
I like real quick. I wanted to say that there are times where you play Isaiah and he is actually really close to like the same level of like elusiveness and just like fucking dodging you like so perfectly well. Like especially this Kirby.
Mm.
like,
Isaiah's so hard to hit. He's so
Yeah.
hard to hit.
it's kind of weird how he has like somewhat of a parallel there with Jaime, considering how different he is overall.
He just I think the thing with Isaiah, and that we haven't, he's not on the screen yet, but with him, he's just like knowledge checking you like the whole time. And he just
Mhm.
has that much knowledge against you that you can't possibly figure out what he's doing. And he's already kind of moved on to something else by the time you've caught on. Like I played him in a 12 character battle recently, and that's how I felt. It's like, oh my god, I'm just getting knowledge checked for everything I do.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
kinda
when
feel
you're like
for-
up here with every character.
Yeah, I feel like for a lot of the top 10, like when I play against them, it's like very easy to feel overwhelmed because they're just like taking stock after stock after stock real quick. But then with
Yeah.
Jaime, it's like you don't really feel overwhelmed, but then
He's
because
still
you're
winning.
not getting taking
Yeah.
stocks so quickly, but you realize it's like, holy crap, I'm like, I haven't even touched him really. But like a couple minutes have gone by, it's like it's not overwhelming, but he's just so good at winning neutral and taking his time, like
Mhm.
finding the opportunity.
He wears you
doesn't-
down. War of attrition.
Definitely makes you feel dumb too.
One
Yeah.
thing that I will add about Jaime is he sometimes he'll give you openings, but they're not the openings that you're used to. Like you might like have all these crazy 0 to death or just big punishes off stray hits, but getting a stray hit on Jaime, sometimes it's literally just that. You're just tagging him once and then you're kind of back to where you were.
I've seen that before. So frustrating when it's you that's on the opposing end, but I've seen it before, and he's usually just laughing about it too. Oh, best.
Looking great, dude. I love that guy. Great.
Yeah,
sense
he's
of
a
humor.
great guy too. Great human being, very funny.
Mhm. Well, 0.
Yeah, we're ready for 0.
The comeback kid.
Andy,
Andy.
you wrote the article on this guy. Maybe Andy's AFK.
I just want to show a clip real quick of Jaime
Ooh.
being nuts. This is
Alright.
like a year ago.
He's the Falcon, by the way.
He is the
Is this
Falcon, by the
is
way.
this tacos? Is it, we can't see everything. Is it tacos?
So it's him versus Isaiah, and
Oh.
it's not really like him turning anything here, but just kind of focuses on his just how evasive he is and the amount of resources he's willing to use.
The number of Jaime matches that you see the
Yeah.
timer go down to like 4 or 3 minutes with Falcon is
So-
probably going to be way more than any other Falcon.
So like he does get tagged there, but just like the sequence before when he's willing to just up B just to get away again and regrab ledge, like I just don't think a lot of Falcons would be looking to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, he's so fucking like intuitive when it comes to getting himself out of situations. That's absolutely something that he excels at.
Yeah, so on to Zero though, he just kind of back to form with him this year, right? I know,
Yeah.
like as a chat, we've played him quite a bit. I think I played him 3 times this year. Sheeman played him a couple times, and Dogs, you played him looks like 3 times as well. So, got a lot of personal experience here. So I guess what can you guys kind of say about his play that might set Zero apart and brings him into the top 10?
Or why don't you start us off? Because Super and I did Jaime. You played him at offseason twice, right? Or just once?
Off season twice and Xanadu once.
Okay. What was the difference between Xanadu and offseason?
Off season, I mean both the games or both are like initial sets, so like I guess the first 2 sets that he beat me this year, he kind of just rolled me. Especially the Xanadu set, we had like a really close first couple stocks, and then we had a situation where I had what felt like a guaranteed edge guard on him, and he just timed his upbeat so well, it just snatched me right after my nair, and he just reversed the kill on me. He just seems very aware of those types of situations, and once he gets a lead, I think it's super hard to get that back on him because I think he's one of the best Falcons at holding center stage and kind of mixing up his jumps, and he's not always, his dash grabbing is super good, but sometimes he's just looking to like follow back or on you, like say if you're Red or Kirby, and just turn that into a stock instead. So pretty
Yeah.
ambiguous at times.
All I have to say about Zero is that I hate how smart he is because he has such a huge fucking ego. He's like the type of player who, you know how some players like talk really big about themselves, but they can't entirely back it up. I feel like Zero can usually back up what he, the shit he says. There was that one time last year where Dogs, proved him a bit wrong, which was good, but he just, I remember one time I was talking to my friend and he said, this was years ago. He said, yeah, I was playing teams with him and this was online because he used to be an online player, and he's like, yeah, he was just calling out like every single habit that the opponents were doing, and he's like, that's how I knew that he was going to be really good. So his mind's just extremely sharp, and it frustrates me that he is smart because you can't hold that against him. You can't say he's an idiot because he's just not. In fact, he he makes it a point to let you know how smart he is, and it frustrates me sometimes, and I'm sure some people have gotten the end of that as well.
Would you rather him be an idiot?
Yeah, I would.
Damn, that's brutal.
Super just wants a community full of idiots.
No, just him.
So I guess if you had like a little, I forget what they're called, the little squares, and like the 2 section will be like idiot, smart, and then like low ego, big ego. Where do you want most of the players in the community to end up?
I want Zero. I prefer a low ego but smart, and Zero's more big ego but smart. Because big ego but smart is harder to beat, honestly. Because the only thing that really sets Zero back sometimes is hubris. I use that word a lot, but I think it's very important. And I'm sure everyone knows what hubris is, so I won't explain it. But Zero is capable, right? But sometimes he gets in a state where he's just like, oh, this game sucks, and I'm bigger than this game in this very moment, so I'm gonna stop trying now. And we've seen that before.
Mm.
Yeah, kind of like what Andy was saying. He's kind of like a momentum style player. Like if if he gets a lead, he's really good at holding on to it. But when he feels like, it's not going his way, like controller issues, whatever it be, it's hard for him to keep his head in the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then he
But-
just decides he doesn't want to win anymore, and then he doesn't. When he decides he doesn't want to win anymore, he doesn't win, and it's amazing when he does say to himself, "Okay, I'm gonna win this game," and he's number 9 for a reason, so it must work out in his head.
That kind of positive mindset when you decide you want to win something real bad, it's very powerful.
I think Andy made a great point about how he's so good at holding center stage. I definitely gleaned that from playing against him several times.
Hmm.
And another thing is he actually will be very careful when he follows up with pressure. So if he gets a straight hit, he's like he wants to apply more pressure to your defensive option, like your escape option, but he'll also be really smart about like recognizing quickly if he truly can like apply good spacing and pressure on you, or if it's like risky for him to do so. Like he won't like go into like a jab grab as easily as so many Falcons run his like level. Like that's just something I noticed playing my Pikachu against his Falcon.
So he's not really one to overextend at all.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Like in neutral, eventually he will overextend. Like if you're like in the corner more times than not. But if he really wants to win, he won't. So at off season, he told me that he played extra patient against my Pika compared to the day before, because he was like trying to adapt and he really wanted to get like a bigger piece of that prize money because there's a lot of money in that prize pool. It was dope. So I was like, okay, yeah, no, that's cool. That's like cool that like the external motivation got him to like play at his best. It wasn't just all intrinsic like it usually
Mhm.
is for our community. And it really
Yeah.
brought the best out in him, and it was a really fun set to play against.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
another thing
Do you
that.
guys?
Go ahead, Fox.
Well, I'm completely switching subjects here, so you might want to go first, real quick.
I just wanted to mention that like it's kind of frustrating too that he doesn't really play and then he just shows up and does so well. Like he doesn't practice. He just shows
Yeah.
up and does well.
But he did practice Reflecton like back in the day, and that stuff will always
I think-
stay true within him.
It's like riding a bike. I have to imagine.
Yeah.
You could not play for a few months and still come back relatively at the same skill level.
He
And I think
definitely
once you're
rested
top
very
level,
well.
Mhm.
For, like, all
once
the-
you're
all the
top level,
programs.
you're going to be top level for a while.
Yeah, I think some people don't realize that he also does like a lot of VOD analysis himself. Like when I was talking to him about teaming at Smashtoberfest, he was like, sending me his sets that he lost to Kix or Kyoshiki and Boom at SmashCon, and we were just like kind of just texting back and forth, just analyzing situations. So like I feel like like Box said, once you have that base level of talent and skill, it's kind of just more about like figuring out what you're doing wrong. And I don't think he's like very vocal about it, but he does do it, and I think he's really good at it as well. And just
Yeah.
from teaming with him at Smashtoberfest, like his knowledge of the game, and especially at doubles too, he's like an amazing doubles teammate. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, I think for our game, there's really only so much technical ability you really need to have. I think it's definitely better than not to have like more technical ability, but like Cheatman said, at a certain point, you just gotta think about how you're applying it, especially during the set.
Yeah.
But as Chris mentioned in the chat, we can talk about that big old Boom win he has hanging at the top.
And that's what I was going to get to. How did you guys view his Boom win in comparison to Jaime's? Because I looked at them
Peace dogs.
similarly.
Yeah. I think I pretty much viewed it the same because I think you need to reward the players just for the win at the end of the day. And I don't think any of the characters he went were so egregious that they felt free at any point.
Right.
Like
If it was
we'll
maybe
get to Boom, but
something.
like maybe like a Boom Link or Luigi, like maybe we might side eye it a little
Yeah.
more, but like the same Fox Still beat Zero, I think, twice in the same tournament. Still beat Josh Brody, KD3, Dogs.
Zero.
So
Yeah.
like at worst, we're viewing. If you want to look at the character like in a vacuum, sure, but it's still a top 10 performing player like on this list, right?
Yeah, agreed.
So like even if you knock it down a little bit compared to like his Kirby and Yoshi play, like I just don't think you can do it that much to where it would move the needle.
I think Zero also uses Kirby when he played LD back in the day. So he's got that experience against top level Foxes.
Yeah.
And that probably helped him out a lot there too.
Yeah, his Kirby is like his Fox and Falcon counter. Like if he has to go to that route. And
Yeah.
his Kirby, like I know his Falcon's better, but like every once in a while you'll see his Kirby, you'll be like, dude, that's his best character. Like there's no shot, man. Like his Kirby's incredibly good. I feel like it is good enough to where he could solo main it and still like perform around the same.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive how he can just kind of pull characters out like that and
That'd
still
be fun to see.
go toe to toe. Yeah,
Yeah.
he really didn't really have any bad losses either. He's got a Raichu loss, which isn't even in regards to
Yeah.
overall. That's still
Maybe
not that bad.
Yeah, maybe in this range it's looking a little sketchy, but everything else is I mean, She-Man, Dogs, Katie, Kiyoshi, everyone is like She-Man was almost top 10 last year. He was 16th this year. That's just not a bad loss.
Yeah, for sure.
Compared to all these wins that he's got. I mean, Boom, Katie twice, Jaime, Dogs twice, Hiropai, Caleb, CTG, Hicks, Take, Joshi. I mean, his list of wins was, to me, a little bit better than even Jaime's, with around the same level of losses.
She-Man, what's up, man?
Yeah.
You kind of cooked him up. What's going on there?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even really say I cooked him. I feel like our SmashCon set, it was 3-0, but every game was like last stock, high percent.
Was that a Yoshi for you?
Yeah, that was
or-
all Yoshi Falcon. I was a little surprised he didn't pull out the Kirby, but maybe he prefers the Falcon in that matchup.
It's a bad matchup for Kirby.
I think he does. Only I do remember like back in the day he was kind of pegged as the or pinned as like the Yoshi Slayer because he was like one of the first. I think he was the first non-boom Falcon to take a set off Wizzrobe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
and then I
also-
remember he was
there's-
destroying the Japanese Yoshis that came that year too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a funny story about that because there was this guy Bono Bono who was supposed to be the big Yoshi, and Zero took a set off Bono Bono, and then we found out that that was just we didn't know about Karaba back then. We actually
Karaba.
didn't. Yeah, we didn't know the monster that was hiding in plain sight because everyone was so focused on Bono Bono that tournament. I remember, and it was huge that Zero beat Bono Bono. Like it's even on his Smash wiki, which whoever edits that also thought it was a very, very strong win because Bono Bono
Well, Bono
was
Bono was going off in Japan back then.
yeah.
I think he just got hit at like their biggest Kanto or Kansai or something.
What up, Neil?
Yeah, what up, boys?
Yo, what up?
Glad to
Yeah, I
have
mean,
you
I would
on.
say Zero is very good at the Yoshi matchup, and for sure, like I felt like
I
every
think-
time I lost neutral, he would take a stock with it, and so I had
Yeah.
to be very, very careful with like,
Falcon
my approach.
Yoshi is such a weird matchup. It
it's
feels like a
tough.
Falcon Ditto.
It's
Yeah.
tough, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to
It's
get
very volatile.
probably not here, but at some point I'd like to get more of your perspective on that matchup because you seem to have a better handle on it than most players, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I-
She-Man,
I-
your Yoshi is really impressive.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I study a lot of Karaba VODs. He's just the king of that matchup.
Oh.
I mean, obviously everyone already knows that, but
I could talk about Karaba for hours.
yeah, I mean, he's incredible. But
Mhm.
yeah, I would say like Zero is very good at the matchup. It's amazing to me that he like can plug in his headphones and still know exactly when Yoshi doesn't have his jump. It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
I know there are visual cues, but like they're really hard to catch.
Yeah.
because like there's a little puff of smoke when you jump, So maybe he just has a good eye for that sort of thing.
Sometimes it happens so quick. It's like without the noise, I feel like it's impossible to know sometimes.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that though, because like when I think of Zero against Yoshi, he's never like waiting to do the nair. Like the nair just comes out right away, and like Yoshi's off stage when he has no jump. It's just like he recognizes it without like there's like no second guessing either.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about like these top 10 players. Each one kind of has a thing that they're really good at. I think one of the things Zero is super good at is crouch canceling. I feel like not many
Yeah.
players incorporate it into their game as much as he does, and he does it, I would say, pretty damn effectively.
And
Yes.
with Falcon low percent, it's really strong too.
Yes.
Mhm.
Krogi's been
Absolutely.
looking into that, and I think you're gonna see it a lot more from the Falcons because CC is so good. It's like
Yeah.
for Falcon, really, it's like he's got 30% before you can really knock him down. So that gives him so much
Mhm.
room to just like call you out if you try to hit him the wrong way, which is what makes Falcon so strong. I think as time
Mhm.
goes on, people are starting to realize how strong Falcon is defensively. For a while, there was a lot of people that are like, "Oh yeah, Falcon's so fast," and get in their face. But you can really just make it super hard to get in on Falcon.
Yeah.
Especially if you're, like, utilizing crouch cancels, you're utilizing that 30% knockdown. That's what, I think really has made Boom such a strong Falcon this whole time, is that his defensive game is just absurd.
Yeah, it is good.
Agreed.
Sheeman, did you go any Falcon at SmashCon, or did you go all Yoshi?
I went mostly Falcon actually.
Really?
Yeah, like against Maha and well, I guess maybe I don't know actually. I can't quite remember. I did go a lot of Yoshi. You're right, but I think most of my best wins at SmashCon were with the Falcon, like
Okay.
Maha. And
Because in top 16 and on, it seemed like you went almost exclusively Yoshi, I would say.
yeah, I
guess
think
it
probably
might-
Falcon was the character in pools, and then maybe I was going Yoshi in bracket more. Yeah, 'cause I played Zero in bracket, and then I went Yoshi against Nax, and then against Mercy as well.
So,
Yeah.
Sheeman, I have a little bit of a joke about you. Sometimes, like, before I would watch you and I think, oh my God, this guy plays like a mid-level player, but he's just beating everyone. And I'm like, he's not like punishing him super hard, but he's still winning. I'm like, I don't get it. And I remember Andy, contesting me on it. He's like, I don't know, he's good, man, he's good. I'm like, what? He's just playing like a mid-level Falcon. I don't understand. I don't get it.
Bro,
You might not
it's
be
just
wrong
different
there.
when you play the guy, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, what about his plays, like mid-level, like his punishes? You mean?
Yeah, I would say, but I think I mean, Sheeman knows himself probably better than I know him, but just based on what I can tell now, because that was an old opinion, I think you're just very good at like understanding the situation you're in and then having like a plan B to get out of it or to advance further. So I think that your micro game is like really strong. So when you actually get something going, it's like, okay, well, I've already, you know, kind of got this going, and if you mess up, you're able to kind of, you know, find a way to recover from it. Like, so while you might be kind of mid-level falconing when it comes to like, getting the kills, there's a lot of like high-level shit that, those mid-level falcons wish they could just do on the fly.
The good thing about any mid level Falcon is it's so easy to press up, and up B.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't say my tech skill or my movement or anything is particularly stellar by any means.
But your
Well,
decisions are strong.
At the level that you and anyone above you is at, your tech skill needs to be sufficient enough. Like maybe not, some of the flashier stuff, but you're reacting and moving on like the first frame or two of any time that you like land or you need to jump. And you're
Yeah,
not missing like the easy tech that needs to be done in order to get things done. You don't need to ledge cancel shit and teeter cancel and whatnot to be, a top 10 player.
But you do have to pivot reverse fair wave shine tipper to get to the top level.
No doubt. Wombo combo.
Yeah, my comment wasn't disrespect, Sheeman. I see how good you are.
No. I welcome any sort of analysis with my gameplay. We can chat off another time about that.
All right, you guys ready for Alvin?
Mr.
Alvin.
Alvin himself.
Alvin's like the ascended form of the mid-level Falcon. Like if you've maxed out mid-level, you'd
Yeah.
become Alvin as Falcon.
Dude, he's
Alvin-
the top level Falcon for like 5 years. What do you
Right,
mean?
like he's the top. That's what I mean. He's like the top level, plays like a mid-level Falcon.
He does not play like a mid-level Falcon at all. It's so... What does this
When I watch-
mean?
When I watch Alvin versus Pikachu as his Falcon, I'm blown away every time. I don't know if there is another Falcon in the world that's as good as him versus Pikachu.
Yeah, I might agree with that too. And it's
Yeah,
like
I
not
mean-
that he's like doing anything that looks
Mhm.
so insane or
Yeah,
anything either.
yeah,
It's
that's
just
that's
like
what I yeah.
he just kind of stands there and just waits for the Pika to like be in a distance to attack, and then just
Yeah.
finds it and gets it.
I've come to
Support-
appreciate. Yeah, go ahead, Box. Sorry.
But to further my point a little bit, when you look at his wins like Maha, Oreo, Joshi, Gerson, Tavamano, Etab, and then you look at his losses of like Kaioken, Waxy, Wizzy, Karabo, like boom, they weren't playing Pikachu while his wins were playing Pikachu. Now, obviously, I was picking a little bit to make my point, but you get it.
Yeah, I have jealousy. I think maybe what it is like Alvin is like so efficient. He doesn't
Mhm.
have to do a lot
Yeah.
to get
He really
his win.
is.
Good word.
That's what frustrates me. It's like I feel like as I want to play the game right, like Alvin is just so simple compared to me. Like I'm thinking like that much many steps, and Alvin's just got like a very straightforward idea of what he needs to do, and then he just executes it. And that's what
Yeah.
made him like that's what frustrated Boom for a while. Boom told me he hated playing Alvin. He's like, it's like playing a robot, is what he told me.
Mhm.
It's like playing a robot.
Yeah, Alvin's definitely an executioner. Seems to very rarely mess up his punishes.
Yeah.
Very, very strong neutral. Maybe a little too safe sometimes, but gets the
Yeah,
job done.
and
But
then he
also, I think I don't know. I can't be alone with this, but I feel like Alvin is definitely a little overrated this PR. I mean,
Really?
I'm
There's
looking at his wins, and yeah, he has some solid wins, sure, but
I think
compared
that
to
when
people
you
around
come
him,
down to it, Wario is still an incredible player. Gerson, Tavamano, very
Yeah.
very high level. And then you look at all of his like lower level wins here on the sheet. Stradon lost to 3 players total.
like that. Yeah, it was
Legend Dorito got 5th. I mean, his Inkafest was absurd.
yeah, that probably boosted him in the rankings, but yeah, he's got some weird losses, but I think Andy was the one who told me it's like, yeah, Alvin just gives away some losses sometimes every year. Like he loses
Yeah.
someone he really shouldn't. Like this year it was Waxy Joe and KO Ken. I don't remember who he lost to that he really shouldn't
Yeah.
have, but that's something that he
like-
just decides. Yeah, go ahead.
Just historically, one year he lost to, it might have been the same year, but he's lost to Lodo before, Clubba, Kaioken and Waxy this year. And he actually had a pretty strong floor, not this past SmashCon, but the one before. Like, that was one that he had some close calls, but ended up closing out against, the players kind of below him.
Yeah. Neil, I can kind of see where you're getting at because I personally had 0, a spot higher than Alvin. I had him switched, but I don't really have a problem with this too much, just because of the ambiguity of some of the wins in Peru. You know, for example, I might look at them as stronger than necessarily you might,
yeah, it's
or
tough.
somebody, or
I
or
mean,
somebody else. So it's hard to say.
yeah, I mean, where would Gerson really be? You know what I mean? Where would Tabamono
Yeah.
be on this?
I would have to imagine, this is just my estimation of their skill, especially in the past, but obviously this year as well. Probably somewhere in the top 15 is where I'd
Oh
have to
wow.
guess.
Okay. So
I would probably agree with that.
I was completely off with that then.
Yeah, because like,
Yeah,
like-
Tavomano has been going crazy. Gerson's always been, a top player. Stradon is insane.
Yeah, Stradon was the only one that took or not the only one. Him and Alvin were the only ones that took sets off Wizzy when he went to Inkafest.
Yeah.
yeah, Stradon is like definitely one of those players I would like to see travel a bit more. He,
Mhm.
him and Garrison, they're definitely just at that level, but they might not. Maybe they wouldn't
Yeah.
perform as well until they get that international exposure. But I mean,
Mhm.
we remember back in the day, Garrison was also one of the first Pikas not in Japan to ever take a set off Fukaru, and he ended up double eliminating
Mhm.
him, which is
Looking
monumentous.
through these wins again, I would say that Legendaritos, Stradon, Gerson, Tovamano, Wario, and Maha are all like well within like the top 15 skill wise or so. So that's how I looked at those wins.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, then yeah, then maybe he's actually underseeded because that's like a
Well, I mean,
lot
just
of
wait
top
until you
15
get
wins.
7.
Yeah, I
1
think there
through
might
7.
actually be a pretty big drop after or big step up. I mean, after
Yeah, you can't not look at his losses. He did still lose to Kaoken
Yeah.
and Waxy. But other than that, his next worst loss is Wario. I mean, crazy. But yeah,
Yeah.
after Alphen here,
Good point.
1 through 7, I think only lost to each other the whole year. Now they all pretty much just went to SmashCon, but well, except Nax Boom and Hero, I think. But still,
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, Neil, I think I'd agree with you if it were just considering his SmashCon performance, but like
mhm.
his Inkafest was just incredible. Like the number of
Yeah.
quality wins he got there is just like undeniable.
I just
If it was
didn't know you guys rated those guys so highly. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought at best they were at like Joshi's level, but apparently
No.
I would say
they're
they're
much
a little bit
higher.
better because
Jerson
Josh,
and
Josh,
Tabamoni are really good.
yeah, Joshi got what 9th, 8th, 7th, or whatever at Inkafest. I think everyone else got a little bit higher, except maybe Tavamano got. I think he lost a little earlier than expected, but generally speaking, he's like top 3 in Peru.
Yeah, Joshi, I think I chatted with him once, and he thinks that Tawamono is the second best in Peru after Alvin.
Yeah, yeah. And then for third, it's like who knows? Who knows? It could be Gerson. It could be.
Does anyone have
Gohan.
Kamali's Frunus list?
Oh,
I-
hold on. I'll try to find it for you.
Okay.
All right, so Camis. So I'll just show it to you. Maybe you want to show this on stream. I think that'd be funny, mayhaps.
Mayhaps.
I'll
What
link
is
it.
this?
So Kamui basically made like a little tier list of like kind of player skill in Peru. Just to kind of give us an idea of like what we were getting into going into Inkafest 2. Which I don't think it was necessarily referenced, but I think it'll make sense for the viewers here of like just how strong they view like their own players.
Yeah. Also, I was gonna say there's something in South America's water to make them all really good at Pikachu.
Huh.
There is, yeah.
I gotta.
I was told like anyone off the street in Tacna can take Wario to last stock.
And probably with like a 3 out of 10 controller too.
Yep. Like they
Yeah.
can't dash on it either, but they can they can get it done.
Can't dash. But they have incredible up B angles.
Yeah, they do. They're yeah, the Peruvian meta's always been interesting, just how top centric it is. Just kind of It's kind of branching out now, but for a while it was just known as the Falcon
Well,
Pikachu kind of
Shears,
country.
Shears told me the history of them playing was that they would play at this like kind of like arcade type thing, but where you had to like I guess pay per hour to get on the N64. So he said every single game was a money match, and winner would stay on. So
Yeah, that's what I heard from Joshi as well when I was chatting with him when he lived in NorCal. He just said like nobody in Peru owns a console. They just go to these video game arcades and like you rent the station, I guess,
yeah,
and everybody
so
just
imagine every
money
single
matches.
game you played was a money match. I'd probably go Pika all the time as well.
Very true.
Yeah, it's pretty wild how good they are for not owning a setup themselves.
That's crazy, honestly.
Did you get the link I sent you, Andy? Or
Is Andy AFK?
I don't
I found it.
okay.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh. All right. So, let's see if we can see it on stream. Yeah, so this is how Kamui rated the players. He considered the gods Alvin, Gohan, Jerson, and Tavamano, semi-gods Stradon and Marka, High Frunas, Chiquilin, DK, Leandro, and Largo, mid Frunas, Kamui, Ray Falcon, Papitas, Capitan Tavo, Dabura, and Masayuki, and low Frunas, not our Frank, Marcelo, Soldaldo, and Renzo. So
Where
this is
Where
only
would
in
Legendary-
Tacna though. So
yeah, I'm looking for Legendary too, but I guess maybe he's not Takna.
I would assume Legend Tharito is semi-god, but he kind of proved almost god status, you know? Like you gotta be god to beat to beat Wario, right? That's such
Right.
an insane
Yeah.
win, man.
he beat
Yeah, he beat
Wario
Tavamono
and he
too, right?
took
Yeah.
Wait, he beat Wario?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, Legend
did, yeah.
Tharito beat
I
Wario.
thought he just took a game off of Karaba. I thought that's why everybody was bugging out.
It was the Krabba and beating Wario. Like the dude's
Yeah.
cracked, man.
That's
And he
crazy.
beat Tavamono, I believe.
And Alvin beat that guy who did all that stuff, so
Yeah.
Yeah, only an Alvin and Karaba could stop this guy, so he's pretty fucking good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
All right.
probably on to Wizrobe, right?
Alvin. Yeah, I'm down to go to Wizrobe.
So good old Wheezy.
Wheezy.
At first,
All right, let's see what he's working with here.
good.
Yeah, so this is like the section where we get to absolutely no bad losses for the remainder
Yeah.
of the ranking.
And
Like-
I think the only other person that had losses similar to this was Stranded, which I can see why in that case he wasn't happy with his ranking.
Yeah,
But he did not have quite the same level of wins. Like when you look at Wizrobe's wins compared to Stranded's wins, I don't think there's really a
It's not that
comparison there.
Yeah, it's not that comparable.
yeah, head to head in
Like, 'cause
there.
Mhm.
Alvin's a huge win, as we've seen. And Hammerheart had an incredible this year. I think he was kind of fringe top 10 as well with his results. So
Hammerheart only had like 4 losses, right? Or only lost to
5
people or something.
yeah, like
Hammerheart-
5 people
Hammerheart-
across like what 2-3 tournaments. So
Yeah.
like, which is bonkers, man. Especially with the amount of pools and stuff that we play in. That's probably one of the most impressive stats of the year.
Yeah, no doubt. And you think he went to like 3 tournaments and he lost to 5 people. Wizzy went to 1 and lost to, or he went to 2 and lost to 3. So, it's
Yeah.
roughly comparable.
Yeah.
Wizzy is just an absolute machine. Speaking of Hammerheart and Wizzy, I watched that set of Hammerheart after he played Karaba to game 5, and
Oh,
then he
yeah.
played Wizzy like 30 minutes later, and it was absolute domination. It broke my soul a little bit. I don't know. Maybe that matchup isn't as good as everyone thinks. I don't know. I'll pedal that till the day I die. But watching that set, my God.
It was probably such a switch of play style. Like Yoshi's very stylistic, so he probably
it's
took what he
true.
got from Karaba and was like, okay, this is what Karaba was doing, and then Wizrobe just played completely differently.
Hmm. Yeah, Wizzy, he's a machine, like I said.
The thing about Wizzy and his Yoshi is that you hit him once, fine. You hit him again, oh, he just parried you, and now he's killing you. Good
Yeah,
job. I run into that so much because I play him on his stream, and sometimes if he's just on, it's just like, oh my god, like what's even the point to try to grab him? Because he'll just parry my grab. Like no other Yoshi can parry grab like Wizzy can against Falcon. Like he'll literally parry grab. It's just like
it's those young boy reactions.
Yeah, just wait
He's
till
27. He's not gonna
27.
do that anymore.
absurd. No.
Yeah, got a few more years before we can grab Wizzy.
Yeah.
Then the playing field is evened out there.
You gotta grab his like big nose when he's using forward air or something, you know.
Hmm. Another thing about Wizzy is all but 2 of his wins are ranked players. All but 2.
Yeah, and I think he probably played them at
Off season.
off season. Yeah,
Off season. Yeah, those are off season, and then the rest were SSC.
You
Yeah,
don't-
when you start in D1, you're only gonna be playing ranked players.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think-
Wizrobe's such like a decent player stomper. Like anyone, like even just a little bit below his level, sometimes it looks like they're not playing the same game. And
Yeah.
I don't know, even like how I didn't watch all these sets, but just sometimes watching some of the sets how he handles someone like a Zero who's like, you know, 2 spots behind him. It's like, oh my god, like this guy's not going to really
I've seen-
lose to anyone unless you're challenging for best in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Wizzy's that gatekeeper. I don't know if he'll ever be like the best player in the world, but you know, in order to get to that level, you got to get through him. At least
Yeah.
that skill area.
Yeah, I think Wizzy, he wasn't ranked super high last year. I think because he only went to SmashCon and then had to like face Wario in losers pretty early on, and so didn't really have an opportunity to get that many quality wins. But when you look at his losses from last season, they look pretty similar to his losses this season too.
Yeah,
And so
he
it
beat
just shows his
he beat
consistency.
KD3. The reason he played Wario so early last year is because KD3 upset Wario.
Exactly, yeah.
But he had beaten KD3 earlier that tournament. So like if they had played again, you'd almost assume that he'd win again, and then he would just keep on going.
Yeah,
So
his
he did-
floor
he
is
did
just so insane.
Mhm.
Another strong, like, impressive thing about Wizzy this year, especially, like that head-to-head against Kyosuke. Kyosuke's been one of the few top players that kind of has bodied Wizrobe in a sense. And this was
Yeah.
like the first set where it looked like Wizzy was pretty much just in control. Like his set to lose. And Kyosuke just he just really clutched up when he needed to, but
Yeah.
that
Yoshi
was
had to
like
switch off Kirby,
yeah, which like
which I mean,
wild.
I've always thought that Kyoshi was the best by far Kirby versus Yoshi in the world. So like
Yeah.
to see that happening in real time was absolutely insane.
Yeah, so he must have like it just seems like Wizrobe. So I don't really talk to him about this stuff, but it feels like he's been doing his research on these players.
Hmm.
Because it's also a set with Boom, I think, kind of came down to the wire as well. It's just not something that you'd expect, like based on like their performances in years past, and even going back to the SmashCon before. Wario is one of the players, like I think we talked about, that kind of gave Wizzy the business, and he was super close to beating him as well. So he just kind of it's like getting closer and closer to beating these top dogs, and I think it's really just a matter of time as long as they get some more sets in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
with you. Wizzy is
If
just
Wizzy just went to like one more tournament a year to get that extra experience against these guys, Who
He's
knows?
I think machine is a very good way to put it, as Blocks put. He's just a machine.
Yeah,
No other way to put it. Wizrobe is just a machine. A
yeah,
well-oiled Yoshi machine.
crazy. You know
Yeah,
what's
and
even crazier than that? That somehow, some way, Karaba is even better. It's hard to imagine, and we'll get to him, but my God.
yeah, Wizzy. I mean, I think he just got also one of the best like mental games out of
Hmm.
any of the Smash
Mhm.
players, and I
Yeah.
think that probably comes from like being a top Smash player at a few other Smash games as well. He just has so
Yeah,
much tournament
Right.
experience and
Wizzy's
like
top
has
10
been
in
in that
Melee.
position.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in the
I
position of like, you know, playing high level Smash for so long.
I wonder how much playing Melee affects like how much slower 64 feels like in a way that he can react to it in a better way than a Melee, for example. You know, because he plays it at such a high level, and it's a much faster game. So I wonder if that like helps him adjust to 64 a little bit better as well.
I asked him this once actually, and he doesn't think that it doesn't like
Mm.
translate too much. He just says it's just getting used to it. He doesn't think that like, oh, because I play Melee, I'm better at 64 and vice versa.
Okay, okay,
So,
interesting.
and I agree with that. Also, I've been dabbling a little bit in Melee as well. Not that I'm like Wizard Rebel or anything, but
Right.
I don't think they translate. I think what it is that the game engines are entirely different. Like for a
Hmm.
while, playing Melee, everything felt too heavy comparative to 64, right? And
Yeah, it
it
does
just
feel
comes,
heavy.
yeah, it just comes down to just getting used to that. And I think it only takes a little bit for him to warm up. But no, I don't think there's like a secret like, oh, 64 players go play Melee and it'll make you better,
Hmm.
because it's a different game.
Gotcha.
I will say one thing that transfers over. Like, I'm sure all of you have seen some of the Smash DI clips of him playing Melee
Oh,
Oh,
and just
yeah.
how, like,
yeah.
and it's clearly like way above any other Melee player.
Yeah. I've seen a Boba actually has a video out there where he calls it a defensive combo video or something where he just DIs out of people's combos. It's crazy. I'll have to link it to you sometime.
Yeah, doesn't Wizzy also have like kind of a reputation in Melee as someone who like is very patient and like doesn't play it super flashy and fast as all the other top
Yeah.
players?
Yeah.
Kind of similar to how he plays 64, but yeah, I can imagine that like although it doesn't like his I don't think like there's any sort of speed difference in the game that will really throw him too far off because he kind of just has the same strategy, I guess, or same game plan in both versions.
That's a good point. All right. Are you guys ready to get to Kyoshi?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Kiyoshiki. What's the lore behind Chris Kringle saying you don't like Kiyoshiki? Oh,
I
you're
don't know.
muted, Andy.
I don't know how that's possible.
Oh, my bad, bro. So pretty much like going into SmashCon, I kind of just put out there that I thought that Kyosuke didn't have a chance against any of the other top Pikas, which I was proven correct for the most part.
You were. You were.
Which I added. They didn't play, but I added Nax in that group, and Wario if he came over as well. But against the rest of the field, it doesn't matter. He kind of bodies everyone. So, and he still showed out this year.
Yo, add She-Man to that Pikachu list because I beat him in that Ditto.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh,
See,
man.
hey, man. I just know a thing or two. You know.
Well, doesn't he go Falcon versus Pikachu's? Isn't that not
Oh,
like
yeah,
too
he-
much of a worry?
Yeah, he clapped me pretty good with Falcon right after.
Kiyoshiki's amazing though. He's like even then, even though your theory
Mhm.
came true, he's an amazing player. Definitely deserving of 6. I think he was number 1 for a year.
Yeah.
one time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2019 he was number
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he smoked everyone that year. And that was like an interesting year because I think between Japan and the US, he placed first at every event that he went to.
Yeah, he placed first at two J events, two big ones, and then Genesis
And Smash
and
Con.
SmashCon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think even leading up to this year's SmashCon, he had just like also completed a run of first place
Yeah.
finishes. Like I think even the
He's
month before in July, he had just like beaten Kuraba in the J tourney.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sheeman, I know that you just went out there, and I'm sure that you maybe got a vibe, but like to me, he seems like the best player in J version.
Yeah, I would say so. I think he's also just much more willing to counterpick than most Japanese players, which gives him an advantage. But I mean, that's not to say that he's like doing it any sort of. He's not like. I mean, he's doing it by the rules, so
Right.
rules
Right.
allow it now, like which the Japanese players might not be used to. But
I know they
Yeah,
have like
he-
different
he can
counterpick
pull
rules. I
advantage
think
of it.
you can only counterpick after the first game. Like you have to go the character that you set out to be in the beginning, and then you can counterpick afterwards.
Oh, really? Interesting.
That's at least that's how it was after they stopped character lock. I don't know if it's the exact same now.
From what
Oh,
I heard, it's
definitely didn't
still
play by
pretty
those rules.
controversial over there.
That's just kind of the rules now. They just allow counter picking. I think that was. I'm assuming that's just to keep up with our meta because like some of the players come over here and play, which like it isn't the first time that like an international community influenced one of the other countries.
Sad.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I remember seeing in an interview with Kyoshi before they removed character lock that he was kind of a big proponent of removing character lock in Japanese tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, he's had that Falcon and Pikachu ready for years and years. So he was, probably out there grinding somewhere, hoping that it was going to end.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the Japanese players actually have an incredible cast. I mean, we
Yeah.
obviously
Mhm.
saw that with the 12 character exhibition with Kuraba.
No, man.
But yeah, I would
That's
say
crazy.
like
Yeah, they're all like 12 CB, like
yeah,
trackheads. I don't know how to put it. Like I think
Yeah.
I think they just like play everything and they're just willing to do it too. So they just get like even like their like I don't know equivalent to D2, Pikachu's probably have like a good Donkey Kong for no
Mhm.
reason. And
Yeah.
It's just insane.
I don't
Yeah,
know
like
if you
looking
guys follow
through-
like Sakurai on YouTube at all, and just like the amount of 12 CBs that he'll upload throughout the year is insane. And
oh yeah, I think he just posted like his 300th 12 character battle with Faust.
jeez. And like
Yeah, like every one of his YouTube videos has a number on it.
and he had some interesting ones too. Like he had a 12 CB versus 6 Pikachu against Wario, and the same thing against EXE as well. So they just like they just grind it, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In Japan, they just love to do any sort of those types of battles. Like they were really surprised when they heard that like me and Natty have only done like 1 or 2 12 character battles ever with each other.
Damn.
They're
Mhm.
just like, wow, like why not? You know, they just like love like whether it's like crew battle, like character crew battles, or like regional character crew battles. They just love to do any sort of 12 characters of some sort battle.
It's just more a complete version of like being good at the game. Maybe they look at it that way.
Yeah. I think it is like a very good route to getting better.
Mhm.
I mean, like in the States, we don't do it as much, but I mean, look at the people who do grind 12 CB and just how like good they are at the game. Like the biggest
Mhm.
ones I can think of, like last year, Isaiah all the time, 12 CB custom, like 3 characters, like limit or whatever. Yeah, and that seemed to be like most of his practice throughout the year, and he ends up winning SmashCon the same year. So a little
Yeah.
anecdotal, but I think like there's probably there's not many other ways to get like, yeah, I guess universal skill in the game.
Yeah. I mean, you get a lot of different perspectives from. I mean, I've been playing Mario vs. Yoshi a lot recently, and my Kirby I think has gotten better because of some of the stuff that I had to do with Mario just to compete.
Yeah.
So they probably get that amalgamation of a whole bunch of different things from every different character.
Yeah, it does help because you have to kind of think of it like that's why sometimes you see like someone like a Hammerheart, he started off as Samus and they picked up Kirby.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
already had like the fundamentals in terms of like spacing and being more careful, and then he just applied it to a
Mhm.
good character. So having the ability to do that, or even going backwards and trying to challenge yourself and play like a worse character, because sometimes
Mhm.
if you're playing like Falcon, right? It's like, oh, I'm Falcon. I can make mistakes as long as it's not Pikachu. But if you're Link, it's like, oh, I made a mistake. Oh, I'm off the stage now. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It teaches you.
I
It really does.
I think a huge differentiating factor here for Wizzy and Kyoshi is the head-to-head. Looking through the wins, I think that Wizrope has like a little bit more of a depth, but I think he just has less. He only has 2 losses, and then he's got the head-to-head, and that's why I think he's higher.
Yeah, for sure. Kiyoshi's still a killer. His like overall, like, he only went to SmashCon, which is fine. I know
Yeah.
that there's a common joke about these rankings, that it's the SmashCon rankings, and it's kind of like, it makes sense. It's our super major. It's our one event. It's the Super Bowl. If you do well at a Super Bowl-esque tournament and there's a rankings, like, you can't just not consider
Mhm.
that. Like, everyone's there.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it just so happens that just happens to be our Super Bowl. Would I like there to be more Smash Cons over the year? Absolutely, but that's not what we have, so it's fine,
Even 2 would be great, but oh well.
Yeah, I think 2 would be great for our scene, just 2 like SSC and then maybe like a 1B tournament of like not quite SSC, but some international talent.
Well,
And Xanadu kind of
mean,
played that role last year.
Skill-wise, I think Inkafest is right there. I mean, Dogs got 9th at SmashCon, and he got 9th at Inkafest. Exactly. Papa Mark just said it in the chat too. Why isn't something as low as Inkafest getting as much influence? I agree, and we'll get into that a little bit later with Karaba, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think the reason why, Mark, is because it's a little harder to tell exactly the skill of all the Peruvians, because they're only like 2 of them are able to come to anything.
Yeah. So I guess like some other things about Kyosuke, like Chris mentioned in chat, his Kirby still feels like probably the best in the world right now. I think it's by far his most probably his deepest character. Like, he has a very deep bag with Kirby.
Yeah.
He's got a ton of like skill checks that'll just automatically crush lower level players. And he's got like a nice bag of gimmicks to complement how good his fundies are. And if you're not ready for them, he'll just steal stocks away so quickly from you.
Something he's really good at also is he doesn't waste his resources either. Like, he's very much thinking about how he utilizes his jumps, and he also doesn't jump exactly in the same way every time. And I think that's what differentiates those pretty good Kirby's from really good Kirby's, is that they think about their jumps. Because, it's different from a character that just gets 2 jumps and then, you fall to the ground. Kirby gets 5. And you can do a lot to mix it up before you have to land on the ground. And he can really, like, mess you up, because you'll think that he's going to be landing a certain way, and maybe he'll, like, use 2 jumps to get away just as right as you're going to hit him or something like that. And, I really like to watch it, and I think a lot of Kirby should study that play too, is get really more attuned to thinking about their jumps and how they can mix up the timings of them.
Yeah.
And it's something like Kiyoshiki's just amazing at doing. This includes for recoveries too. It's very hard to hit Kiyoshiki and not see him somehow squeeze his way back on the stage.
Hmm.
You guys got any more words about our guy here?
No. Other than he's got the best jawline in 64.
Uh, Not even close either. It's like by a landslide.
Yeah,
Do you
it's
think,
his profile picture on Twitter is his face with Captain Falcon's hat on. It's the perfect analogy for him. It's hilarious.
Do
Yeah.
you think it's safe to say he was not happy with his SmashCon result?
I would say so. Like I mean, especially
was-
when you kind of get that close, like he's reached the top before he's gotten first. So
Mhm.
I think that's kind of like on his scope every year now.
He probably wasn't super happy about losing to Kiro, although I can see why. Kiro is insane against Kirby. But he's beat him before. He's also lost to him before.
Yeah, well, I
So-
was just gonna say he whooped Kiro last time with his Kirby. That's
Well,
why.
yeah. So
no, they
at SmashCon,
they traded
Smashcon
sets that
2019,
tournament
they
though.
Well,
traded that.
he played Falcon in D1 against Kiro and lost. And then on the
Yeah.
big stage he went all Kirby and made Kiro look like he didn't know what he was doing, to be honest.
So like that was.
I mean,
I'll
that
fight
was
back a
4
little
years ago
bit
at this point.
just because that was like a super impressive win. But that was also the first time he's beaten Karo. Karo's still lifetime like head to head up on him. And, like all respect to Kyosuke, he had the run of his life. And Wario put the controller down in grand finals, which is kind of sad to see, but it was still a super impressive run.
Speaking
Yeah.
of impressive, Kiro, I think this is probably the best version of Kiro that's ever existed. Like Frey kind of put it very, very aptly in his like blurb that Kiro's always wanted to be like the best, and I don't know. I'm starting to see the vision, especially the way he played Xanadu Origins. He was just,
Yeah.
as they would say, locked
Yeah.
in. Like I saw
Yeah.
him walking around, he just had headphones in. He just looked like he was just there to win the
Mhm.
tournament. He didn't care about the social aspect. He went to win the tournament, and he did. To see him,
Kiro.
yeah, go ahead.
I think Kiro's gotten to that level where he's just a few breaks going his way from actually getting number one. Isaiah's kind of had his number for the past couple of years, and Kuraba too. But other than that, like, look at the wins he's got this year. He's got Boom, which yes, that was Fox, but whatever. That was still Boom's Fox. He was trying very hard.
Yoshiki, who was ranked
Yoshiki,
number
Zero,
one before.
exactly. So I mean, Kiro, from playing him online a few times, he feels the hardest of anyone that I've ever played.
He's so consistent too. Yeah,
Mhm.
I talked about this with Frey too. It's like he's always playing at like an A tier game. Like it doesn't even
Yeah.
matter. Like he's never having a bad day. He's always A tier, and if you're just not ready
Mhm.
for it, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
That man locks
Uh,
in for sure.
I know that Lowe had mentioned that Kiro and Nax should be fighting for 3. And I can, I think 3, 4, and 5 here of Super Boom Fan, Nax, and Kiro were extremely close. And they could be put in any order.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I would not like Kiro. Like I would say Nax is like
Mhm.
like maybe like a yard or two better,
Mhm.
but they're very close. Like they're in within like eye viewing range. Like it's not like Nax is
Yeah.
so far ahead of Kiro right now, which is I think is crazy because Nax is proven to be world class, and I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
Kiro
easily.
I think Kiro has now proved himself. He is world class. Like everyone in top 10, I consider them world class. That's how you look at them.
Karo, I've
Yeah.
always kind of viewed him up there. There's only been a few players each year that he's dropping sets to. His forward just gets stronger every year. One thing that I will say is kind of sad for the viewers and a little contentious for this range is like we haven't seen Karo versus Nax yet, and when's really the last time we've seen Karo versus Wizrobe too? Because we've always thought of those two as like number 2, 3 behind Isaiah in the States, but like they haven't had a head-to-head matchup in years.
True. And
Very
Kiro is
sad.
disgusting at the Picadillo, and I'd love to see Kiro and Nax just trade. Plus, like Kiro is insanely good at punish game with
Yeah.
Pikachu. His pivot up tilts, like he just does them on command. I was commentating with Robert. It's like, oh, Kiro did another pivot up tilt to death there. He's so good
Yeah.
at them.
The timing of his up tilts too when you're falling, crazy. Very,
Yeah.
very good. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Next year who knows? Next year could be his year.
It's coming,
I-
right?
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. And
It's
it doesn't seem
coming.
like he's gonna quit anytime soon either.
Yeah, that's what he said it on Twitter yesterday, that he's going to be the best in the world, and I think this is the most convincing that it could possibly be. Is right now, I could see it. Like,
Yeah.
Like you said, we got to see Nax. I want to see him versus Wizero, but I have to imagine he would win if I were to bet on it. But him versus Nax is what I really want to see. I think those two are probably like neck and neck.
Yeah.
So I want to see that bad.
Yeah. I would give slight favor to Nax right now, just because
Mhm.
while Kiro is disgusting when it comes to Pika punishes, I literally think, no hyperbole, Nax is literally the best at Pika punishing in the Dao. Like it's crazy. He
Yeah,
just
I
hits
agree.
you and you die. He just hits you and you die. I've seen it. I've seen Robert, who's a fantastic player, just get absolutely rolled over by Nax's Pikachu in the Dao.
His
It's
up airs,
absurd.
his up airs are just too good, dude. It's crazy.
He tech chases everything too.
His punish game in the Pikachu, it literally is the best in the world.
Mhm.
I don't think there's anyone better, not even Isaiah. I seriously think that.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong for thinking that. That's for sure.
Yeah, so another thing with Karo is even like some of the players in this range, or I guess the only player, like Kyosuke being right next to him, they do have very similar losses, right? Karo being one for Kyosuke. But like that match was not close at all. Like Karo just like kind of cooked him
Kyosuke
up.
looked very frustrated. He looked very frustrated that whole set. And Kyosuke almost never looks frustrated, so I think Hero was really fucking him up in his head.
Yeah.
Wait, so
Yeah, one thing I'll
Kiro-
say with Kiro is like he seemed like two out of his 3 losses are to Yoshi's. Actually, I think it was Boom's Yoshi that took him out of SmashCon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be
Which
really
is-
interesting to see him against Wizzy.
Yeah. Crazy impressive for Boom's Yoshi. You don't
Yeah.
think of it in the same light as like a Karaba Yoshi, but
Yeah, but he took
There
out
it is.
Nax and Kiro with it. It's pretty
Mhm.
insane.
mhm.
what did Kiro
Mhm.
attend?
Xanadu and SmashCon.
Yeah, Xanadu and SmashCon.
So
Yeah.
both his boom win was at Xanadu, the loss was at SmashCon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to Lowe's point the other day about Kiro and Nax being higher, I think that the boom win at SmashCon, it has to mean a little bit more just because it is SmashCon. Everyone's always saying, SmashCon should be weighted differently. So,
Yeah.
you
Uh,
weight that win a little bit higher, I think. Xanadu's obviously was one of, or the next most stacked, but I still think that SmashCon win is a little bit more impressive.
And
for
I'll-
Boom.
I gotta get going, so I'll say this one last thing before I go. But I think what did it for me to push Nax and Boom over Kiro is we'll probably get to it soon, but it's just they went to more tournaments and won all those tournaments, and
Yeah.
the depth of their wins. I think the 3 of them all have kind of similar wins at the very high level, but just
Yeah.
the depth, you'll see like Nax, you just opened his list and it's just like twice as long
it keeps
of
going.
like solid wins.
hmm
So that's just what
Mhm.
did it for me.
Yeah.
See
Agreed.
you guys.
All right,
It was
see you,
good chatting
Sheeman.
with y'all.
All right,
Thanks for
thank you, man.
stopping in, man.
Of course, thanks for organizing this all. I'll chat with you guys
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, of course.
See ya.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, so I did get to talk to Lo a little bit about it last night. One thing that I pointed out, which we'll definitely get there a little more. He was just talking about how much worse Boom's 4 is with the high main 0 loss, which is true, but he also won 3 sets against them as well. And like going 3-1 in sets against a player that you lost to, it doesn't necessarily erase the loss, but that's still like an example of your floor. Like, oh, I'm beating this top 10 player 70% of the time, or 75% of the time rather.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because like if you're beating him, like you said, 3-1, that does make a difference.
yeah,
Like
it definitely
if it was
does.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
if it was a traded set, like 1-1, then I can definitely see his argument where, you know, maybe you'd have to put Boom a spot or two lower in that case. But he beat Zero with that same character 2 more times.
Yeah.
Or was it 1 more time? I don't remember. And then Jaime, he beat Jaime 3 times at Battle of the Border and lost once. I mean, if your floor is losing 1 out of 4 to the 10 and 9th ranked player, you know, that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I really
s-
like what Sheeman said though, as far as like how many tournaments that Boom and Nax went to. I feel like that really does have to get weighted and taken into
Oh
account.
yeah.
Yeah, because Neil,
Yeah.
you've talked about it before. You lean more towards the side of like trying to reward the attendance, maybe at the cost of like a loss or two,
Right,
rather
yeah.
than give it to like the guy who did super well at one tournament and didn't show up anywhere else.
I agree with
100%.
Wiseacre's position a lot. I think attendance should be rewarded way more because if it's not, then people can just be like, "Oh, well, I can go to one tournament, do really well, and then just not enter
Yeah,
again." Even though
that
people
too.
Yeah.
people get better over the year as
Yeah.
well. Like you know,
I
Go ahead.
personally think that the reason why we have the one tournament list or one tournament thing is for international players that can only really make SmashCon. You can't expect Wario and Kyoshi and Karaba and all these people, Nax, Alvin, to like go to these United States tournaments 2-3 times a year.
Yeah, like I remember messaging Kyosuke back in the day trying to get him out to a big house. It was the one that like Prince came out to. And I imagine some people are in similar boat as him, but he told me at most he can do 2 international tournaments a year, and it's just like hard cap.
It's very expensive.
It's expensive, like, and I'm pretty. And I know their work culture is a lot different in Japan. A lot of times you're working 6 days out of the week, and that's just kind of standard.
He's got a child.
It's
Got
much
a wife and child.
Yeah, wife and child. It's much longer days with commuting. So and there's only so many like holidays that they recognize compared to the States as well. Like we like to have a lot of excuses for days off, which is wonderful. I hope that doesn't go away. But
Right.
just not every place is in the same boat.
In that vein, I don't try to like take away from somebody that only was able to go to 1 or 2. But at the same time, I still do want to, like, Next, for example, stayed here for like 3 months and won almost everything. You have
Yeah.
to,
You gotta
you have to reward that.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
Kiro lives here, and I'm not saying I'd put Kiro down because he only went to 2 tournaments, but Kiro lives here and he only went to 2 tournaments.
Yeah, I never
So-
viewed it like this placing as punishing Karo as much as it is
Certainly.
rewarding Nax and Boom. Like,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
because Boom had he had the head-to-head. He proved himself against his losses, with the exception of Isaiah, who, as we know, ended up 1 on the list. And like his volume of wins, as we talked about, both at the top and like kind of semi-Frunus level, so to say, was just incredibly impressive this year.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Boom's win at Battle of the Border is roughly comparable to Kiro's win at Xanadu.
That's a good point.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's a pretty good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Kiro, I would love to see him go to more things, and it's nice that he comes out and proves himself.
I think
I'd love to
another
see him keep getting
Yeah,
better.
I think another big part of in Boom's favor is that win on Nax is really, really good. I think only like two people have beaten Nax since 2022. That's Boom and Karaba.
I mean,
If I'm not mistaken.
I was thinking.
Oh,
Boom-
Stranded too.
I was thinking Boom only got the 3 spot because of that win on Nax, right?
We can get to it. Are you guys ready
Yeah,
to
we'll
talk
get to
about
it.
next? Or
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm ready to
Yeah.
kind of.
all right, yeah,
Kinda-
God, like Caro, like definitely one of somehow staying a top player, but also
Mhm.
being one of the most improved players. Still
Yeah,
super impressive to see.
Yeah,
I personally think Kiro this year. I think Kiro makes top 3 this year. This next coming year, I'm just very impressed with how he's been getting better and better.
Yeah,
yeah, I can see it. Especially if Boom decides he doesn't want to play anymore, which we never know with that guy. I actually
Yeah,
don't know
never
with
know.
him. He says he kind of did the whole thing to try and get back into it, but who knows with him. But yeah, Nax, holy crap. Nax, I think Dogs put it best in his article. Nax just kind of burst into the scene and just made himself a household name. Nax just, I,
hmm
when I remember watching him and I just think, oh my God, this guy is the real deal. This guy is like able to be considered like one of the best in the world. Like, and it proves it with this ranking, but just like watching him, just like, oh my God.
was
Like,
everyone's first experience with Next that Isaiah set at uh
Pika?
that Peru tournament back in the day?
Yeah,
yeah,
the
and that
Fox
was
Kirby.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's cool. This Nax guy, he seems pretty good. Like, wow, doing that against Isaiah Fox, nice. Here we are in 2023. Nax is proving him. It's like, no, that wasn't just like a fluke, and I can make everyone else look silly too, and he does. I think as I watch Nax, what impresses me the most is his ability to just string hits together. I know that's a very simple way of
Yeah.
looking at it, but he is just so good at like extending his punishes. He'll just pull something out of his ass, like
No,
it's
no,
just
no,
like,
you're right.
and it's so impressive. It's so impressive.
hmm Yeah, Nax, 3 wins on Wizzy, 3 wins on KD3. I mean, that's just domination of like top 10 level play, Zero, Stranded, Dogs, Bark. I mean, the amount of wins he has on these people, it's like always multiples. It's not just one time, it's like 2, 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
like
I really thought Pika's like meta was basically as like I thought Pika was basically figured out, especially as
Mhm.
far as like
no,
punish goes. And then
yeah,
I was watching Nax this year, and his decision making on
oh
his
my god.
punishes was just like so smart. Like Goon
I,
was saying, to
yeah,
extend some of these
Mhm.
combos. Like I remember I saw one clip where somebody was falling on side plat, and he was just standing on side plat, where 99% of people would have just up tilted. He instead plat drop up aired and then turned it into like a 6-hit combo to death. Like I feel like it's little things like that, and
Yeah.
he really like he's been innovating the Pika meta even farther. It's impressive
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, so we got some insight on his training regimen. He actually has specific setups in the Ditto where he sets up tech chases against Pikachu, and he basically just like does repetition, 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 to where on reaction, like if they tech away on plat, tech towards them, or tech in place, or no tech, he just has a bunch of like 0 to deaths that he's replicated so many times, and you can
Yeah.
tell watching him play. Sometimes he might fish for a tech, or he has like an option that covers a couple of them, but it's never like just a hit. He's taking it to the bank or just getting like incredibly good position off of it.
yeah.
Um,
I
and
There's
he's
one thing that I've noticed with at least 3 of the 5 of the top 5, Kiro, Nax, and Karaba, is their tech chasing is so, like pristine
it's
every time they
different,
make
man.
you die.
Yeah,
So they're able to react to all these things. I think that's really a differentiating factor between, maybe lower end of top 10 or, top 15 and some of like the really, really elite guys like Nax is there's no escaping even if you tech right.
properly. There's just you'll die either way.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it feels like sometimes.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think I forget his name. It's the guy who plays StarCraft. Teflon Ron. He told
Yeah.
me that Nax has
Yeah.
a like folder on his hard drive of just like all these videos that he watched over and over again, and it kind of goes to show that, you know, a lot of people, they want to just say, oh well, if I continue to play the game, I'll eventually
Mhm.
get good. Which, yes, to agree, that's true, and maybe I'm repeating myself, but I really am coming to realize that yes, that will make you good, that will make you consistent at the things you know, but what you don't know, you're just never going to learn if you don't actually sit down and actually watch it and try to figure out what these people are doing. Because Nax does that against everyone now. Like, he knows. Like, he's very good as well at predicting where Pikachus are going to be as well. I think that's
Mhm.
something someone mentioned to me too, is that he's super good at that. Like, he'll just know if you're going low or high, and it's probably
I
because
think
yeah,
I think that's a skill that you're born with. I don't know how you practice against that. I think you're born with the gift of foresight, or you don't have it, and
I
he's
think
got it.
I think he's just got visual cues. I think
Yeah.
there's just some visual cues he's trained himself to know.
Yeah, he has
I
told
mean,
me like to my face after a friendly session, your up Bs are too obvious. I know where you start them, where you're going, like,
Mhm.
and he knows, you know, like the strong punish for that as well.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
not bullshitting you either. He's saying that with like full confidence.
Yeah,
just sat
he's
here and-
Great.
yeah.
I mean, I'm looking through his list of wins again. Well into the second row here, he's got wins on like top 15 people.
yeah.
Wow. I mean, Gerson, Wario, Hero Pie, Low, She-Man, Alvin.
Yeah, and
Crazy.
his set with Garrison, I think, went game 5. Same with Wario.
Mhm.
Like two other players who are at this level, but being able to put together a tournament where you're beating those players plus Alvin and taking games off Karaba, he's had a super impressive year this year.
Yeah.
And then, not to mention, like his set with Wizrobe at SmashCon was like super close, and it just
Mhm.
looked like a different person playing him at off season.
Yeah. I was going to say, because I was thinking after SmashCon, well, SmashCon last year and this year, like, well, Nax just has a Yoshi problem. And after SmashCon this year, where he lost to Karaba, I think it was again,
Yeah,
and then boom. And I'm just like, all right, yeah, it's true. And then he absolutely goes and gives Wizrobe the business.
yeah.
Well, is it a Yoshi problem or is it a Karaba problem?
I think it's fair to say it's a Karaba problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, what is it?
Only
The only
like
people
two
who-
players have ever kind of figured him out on a semi-consistent basis.
Yeah. And one of them's in a different version of the game where it's not quite the same.
Yeah. Well, even
Not
then,
quite the same.
like Wario gave him trouble for a while, and I remember talking to you on Facebook back in the day where it's like, holy cow, Karaba took 5 sets in a row off Wario. Like,
Yeah, that was way back in like 2017, 18. We were
Yeah.
talking about that.
and like I think they started going a little more back and forth after that, but
It was true.
it was like
it was
people
true.
kind of paying attention to that international scene was like, this guy's like on his way to be the best. Like,
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into Karaba a little bit more in a couple spots here. I'm excited, but
Yeah.
for Knack, I think if he comes back next year, I mean, we haven't had a repeat at number 1 since we've been doing the rankings, and I think if there's, if that trend continues, Max might be the guy.
Nax is your favorite for that?
I think he's going to come back hot. I think he's probably watching that Isaiah set versus Karaba. I think he's watching his own sets versus Karaba. He's already not gotten really a problem with anyone else. I think he's got to be laser focused.
Yeah.
He's my pick right now for number 1 for next year.
Yeah, I think what separates the 1 through 5, honestly, is just the will to win. Like
Mhm.
1 through 5, they'll do anything to win. They don't care. And of course, Kyoshiki
Yeah.
will do that, and of course, Wizrobe will too. But I
Right.
think for this year, for 2023, the will to win was the highest for them. Like Nax,
Yeah.
just he played hard every single interaction, every single stock, every single moment, and that's what you need to do to prove that you are top
Mhm.
5. And I think for Kiyoshiki, who just floundered this year, I think maybe his will to win just wasn't as strong. Obviously, he wants to win, but it wasn't as strong as the
Yeah.
year that he was number 1.
I think Nax has that young man ambition, whereas Boom and Isaiah and Krabba, they're getting up there a little bit more. Their passion starts to wane, while Nax is spending how many hours a day practicing and watching film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's got the passion right now. It's hot in him. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna.
could.
we'll
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pull up a sample of this video that he sent me. Boop. Oh, why is it doing that? But yeah, hopefully it shows correctly. But just like the setup where I think Dogs might have shown this on stream too. But just where he'll kind of knock Pika onto side plat and go with his tech chasing.
Here. So
Really
you
understated how meticulous he is
want to
too.
know,
When you get to
what the
see, like,
CPU will
how he
take
plans
left
things out as
or
well.
right, or
Yeah.
in place or no take.
He does it so
But
fast that you don't
the
really
thing is that
catch
you
it.
have to
Like, I think that's
follow
another
the
thing
combo
that is
with the upper.
sort of
It
misrepresented,
doesn't
that
matter
he's
where the CPU
he's got a very good game plan. Quite impressive, even if you consider
Mhm.
again his wins.
can continue with the
Like, his
upper
game plan's just so strong.
to the right.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. Do you guys want to move on to Boom?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can. But
Getting a little bit of practice in there, Andy.
a little bit of practice, man. But yeah, just like shows how
Next.
just on it Nax is, just willing to improve,
Yeah.
willing to put in the hours. Vegas odds plus 200, number 1 next year, so we're taking money now. But
Boom. What more can you say about
We-
Boom? It's the fucking he
Man.
is him and Isaiah. I like to share. I like to share them too as the GOAT. Like,
Wait, could
yeah,
could I ask a quick question about next? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
for it.
Just before we go to Boom, if Nax would have beaten Boom at SmashCon, is he a guaranteed 3? Boom 4?
We'd probably have to look at it more, but like my gut says yes.
Yeah, I also think yes right off the bat there.
Yeah,
I think because that's one of
high up.
Boom's like marquee wins, like his best win is Nax. You take that away and give him yet another loss, I think that's just pretty rough. I
Okay.
could see actually Boom having fall to like 5 at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge win then.
yeah.
Huge win.
I just absolutely think that Boom Isaiah are the 2 GOATs of the game. Like, I don't want to just say Isaiah. I want to say Boom
Yeah.
as well. Because Boom, look at his wins and then look at his lot. Like, man just does not. If you don't beat Boom, then you don't beat Boom. There are like very, 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 very few people who can say I have beaten Super Boom Fan in a tournament set. I can list them on one hand. That's it. You know.
We're getting close
Yeah,
to 2 hands now. I think we are at 2 hands actually.
Yeah, probably 6 people.
Now we got Zero,
Well-
Jaime, Karo, and Isaiah, as we see here.
Moyashi,
Yeah, Moyashi, Wario,
Karaba.
Fukuru.
Raba, Fukaru, Alvin.
Yeah, but that's
It's all
neither
world
here nor
class
there.
people. Yeah, like he doesn't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think instead of like having one GOAT, I think it's impossible in 64 to say that someone is the greatest of all time. Boom has like the strongest feats for that in terms of all of his, tournament wins. But, North America just has the most amount of tournaments, and Japan's not coming out every time, and Peru's not coming out every time. Isaiah wasn't always trying either. I think it's more of like a 7 or 8 headed monster of that many people that have been there since like 2010
Sure.
or so.
So I just
Like-
wanted to add, Go ahead, Box,
Go ahead.
if you weren't done. All I wanted to add is that while it's not console online, his current win rate online is 106 and 10. So
And that's match
Booms
count,
is?
right?
yeah, that's match count.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom just does not lose
He
if
doesn't
you're
lose.
he doesn't lose unless you're world class. Like that's the thing. Like he just doesn't lose if you're not world class. I can't think of any time like Boom's been upset. Like,
Yeah.
2017.
And even some of his upsets throughout the year, like say his loss to Wizrobe, right? Wizrobe's still world class, but then you look deeper into their sets, and I think he's up like 12-1 on him or something, just absolutely insane like that.
yeah.
Boom's like worst loss ever is Jaime this year at 10th. I mean, that's unheard
And that
of.
was like I think the first time he's ever lost to him. Like he's had game 5 sets
Yeah.
with Jaime in the past, but
Mhm.
we know how good Jaime is. It's just wild that
I mean,
they
that-
played
that-
that many times, and that's the first time he's lost to him.
Yeah.
That floor over your entire career is something. That's like Armada.
Yeah.
in Melee. It's like
Yeah.
it's wild to see, wild to have seen over the course of the years. And now he's doing it still with essentially random characters.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh guys, I'm going Mario for this tournament. Oh,
Yeah.
I just happened to win with Mario.
Crovy, of all tournaments this year, I have to imagine Crovy Fest was like the perfect one to have gotten Mario. But you still look at it, and that Falcon Mario matchup is, to me, a terrible, terrible matchup, and he was still, making everyone's life hell.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
He's just that guy. He
He
is that guy.
He is that guy. I don't think there's any time he won't ever be that guy. And the thing is like if Boom wanted to put the effort into like really practicing, which he did for a lot of those characters, was kind of why you saw him still like he was trying. Like I remember he was like, "Hey, I
Mhm.
gotta practice Mario," and he would just sit there and practice Mario for like a few months before he had to actually play it. And
Yeah.
it just goes to show if he put that time, if he like allotted all that time to his main Falcon, he's absolutely like in contention to be number 1 for the year.
No
But
doubt. No doubt.
he just happened to be like, haha, Twitter poll, so I'm gonna, do
Yeah.
this. And nobody
And
else. Yeah, go ahead.
despite doing those Twitter polls, he beat 6 out of the top 10.
Yeah.
6 out of
Crazy.
the top 10.
Really?
Yeah, he beat
Match count?
Nax, Kira, Wizzy, Jaime, Zero, and Alvin.
I
Damn.
just
And he beat
think
Jaime Zero
yeah.
3 times each.
I just think looking at like just the raw wins, like how many wins he has, just like impresses me alone. Like it's just like you look at this and like, oh my god, this guy just doesn't lose.
Yeah.
He's lost 4 times in a whole year.
Mhm.
That's a lot of
His-
sets.
His entire first 2 rows and into his third row is all top 20 players from this year.
You're
Well,
talking
I
about
guess Robert.
Boom?
We're still talking about Boom. His wins are monstrous. He's got such a huge amount of wins over like almost all of his wins are on like, top like 40 people and above exclusively. That's
Yeah.
his entire
And while it's not counted, because maybe it is to some extent, I imagine a lot of those are 3-0s. Like he's absolutely like 3-0ing these
Yeah.
people.
And he was somehow able to escape the Waxy Joe upset. He totally dominated him, but everyone else was losing to Waxy. So he was able to get that out.
He just knows. He's just a knower of the game, and it always seems
Yeah.
if there's anyone who I think has foresight, it's Boom. Like obviously he doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
but I swear sometimes I'll play him and it's like it becomes a joke. I'm like, how'd you know I was gonna do that? And he'll just laugh at me. I'm like, how'd you
He's like,
know?
yeah, you did it once 3 years ago. I knew you were going to do it again. It's just,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the illusion too, while we're not melee, and I don't want us to be melee, the whole Mango Armada thing is very apt for like Boom Isaiah type deal.
I think that's just like an archetype in in competitive individual sports because like for example arm wrestling, I follow arm wrestling uh competitive like how that is, and there's a guy from Canada who's like more in the Boom Armada archetype, and there's one guy who's more in like the Isaiah Mango archetype. I think it's just like a competitive one-on-one thing.
Got it. Makes sense to me. Andy's back. Boom, my personal goat, but I agree with you. There's a lot of goats, and there just can't be
Yeah.
one. It's kind of like the meme that I've seen before. They
Mhm.
act like two legends cannot exist, or whatever,
Mhm.
something like
I
that.
I have to imagine if Karaba comes out for another couple years and keeps doing what he's doing, I think it's going to be undeniable that Karaba would be the GOAT. But
You think so?
may-
You think he'll be the goat?
So I guess it
Man, this-
depends on like your conversation of goat. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's just like if you're talking volume, like no one's close to Boom and Isaiah just because they've been doing it for so long, and
Right.
um, and Boom's like lifetime floor, as we talked about, is
It's
so absurd.
Yeah.
Like the only
It's-
players I can think of that are close to that are like Josuke, who stopped playing like 7 years ago. Wario for a
Yeah.
while like was like that too. His worst losses ever being KD3 and Legend Dorito in the past 2 years.
yeah. Boom just
I
doesn't
think
fucking lose. It's so impressive.
Josuke has only lost to I think 4 people like all time.
I think it's a little more than that, but like
How
not
bad he
that
lost
many.
to
What was your
Link
point?
Player,
What was your
Wario.
Jenkins?
What's up? What's up, Neil?
What was your point? I missed it.
I just like little goat point, just like how the volume and just how long Boom and Isaiah have been like somewhere between number 1 and 5 each year. It's not really comparable to any other player. Like
Oh yeah. No, you gotta treat the GOAT conversation about like time pass, like the passage of time is huge. You gotta talk historical context, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I don't like doing direct like sports comparisons because like gaming, you're not gonna be deteriorating like physically.
Mhm.
But it just reminds me of like a Kareem like career, like or LeBron ish, just able to play at like that tippy top level from
Yeah.
beginning until end.
Yeah, Boom's
Yeah.
never had like a slump. Like Boom's been top
No.
4 forever. He's never fallen from that. We've never
Yeah.
said, "Oh, Boom doesn't have it anymore." It's like, "Oh, Boom's at the tournament. He's probably gonna win if there's an international, talent," and that's just insane. Yeah, just fucking. If I think about what Andy said about the floor, Boom's floor is. You're just not. You're not breaking through it. I can't think of like. I just can't. You
There's
have
something to be said
will-
about
Yeah.
there's something to be said about Boom's ability to, after he loses to one of these world class players, like Fukuru, like Alvin, in the past, he goes on to dominate them after a couple more tournaments. Yeah, I don't think he's lost to Alvin in years. After going fairly even with him for a year or two, so I think his adaptability against even the top level is admirable.
Yeah, for sure. Boom. Absolute monster.
Monster.
Graba as well. Oh my god.
Karaba.
A lot of monsters.
Karaba.
These players are so good. Like I think about like these top 5, and it's like these guys are so fucking good at the game. These guys
Yeah,
are so-
Karaba makes me question everything about this game. He makes me think that Yoshi just might be the best sometimes. I don't know. The way he touches you and then you die every single time is, Nax rivals it to a degree, but no one else is, I think, that close. As soon as he gets an opening on you, no matter what you do, you will die. He gets you on every tech. He gets you in every frame trap. I've never seen anything like it.
This is the self plug. I don't know how I took him to game 5, but I did, and whew, I could have just could have been like, all right, well, I got a Karaba win, and that's all that's all I needed. Uh, I don't. I feel like it was less that like I was hot and more like Karaba was kind of slouching a little bit,
Hmm.
and I think as the set went on, because it was like I think it was 2-1 me, and I could maybe close it out there, and I just didn't do it. And then like to win the set, I think let me see. I think he only two stocked me, but still he just like he's got this type of mentality where, and I mentioned this in commentary too, he has kind of something what I like to call rituals. And some of his rituals is like he'll take like a little swig of water, or he'll do something with like his feet or something like that.
Well, he'll get his little sensu bean there, you know,
Yeah,
in between
yeah.
every.
But those are so important. And while it's not the reason why Karaba is so good, I think that having rituals like that and Karaba knowing that he's got like a physical sign to keep himself calm and keep himself collected is why he's such a killer. Because he did take
Yeah.
that time. Like, I was up 2-1 and then he didn't immediately start the game. You think that like some people are like, just okay, start, try again. He took a minute. He took and he like looked down and thought about it, and then he gave me a thumbs up. He's like, okay, and then he just like completely like changed the next game. So
Yeah, I think
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's like a good point about sets in general. I think like by the rules we have like a minute. If you got beat bad, take your time before going into the next game. You don't need to rush into
Yeah.
like doing the same strategy. That's usually enough time to think about a few things that went right or wrong, and help yourself out the next set or next game.
Yeah, that's a fantastic thing to do, and I think hopefully we see it more from more players. I think some of the lower ranks sometimes they're kind of just like if things aren't going right, they kind of just go at it, head first.
Yeah,
And
just get into it quick.
yeah, and sometimes that's just not the right strategy. And while I admire the tenacity, Karaba's got that, oneness with himself, almost zen-like even when he's really on. That's the best way
Yeah.
I've described Karaba when he's playing well. It's like he's fucking floating in that chair.
Yeah.
He's one with Yoshi. He is Yoshi. I don't know how else to put it. Like Karaba is Yoshi sometimes when he's
Yeah,
playing.
he
It's
is.
like he even does like the head
This
bob like Yoshi sometimes. He's forwarding you in real life.
Yeah, Box,
this might.
talk about your posture in comparison to Karaba's.
I think Karaba's is a little bit more advanced, but it's in the same vein. You know, you're on the edge of the chair. You're at like a very acute angle from your legs to your upper body. The closer you are to the TV, the quicker the light hits your eyes. It affects everything. You play so much better. And I just need some more rituals like the little snacks he gets in between each time.
Yeah, rituals are important. I think rituals help me out too. I had like a certain angle. I was like tilting my head, and I realized I was playing better every time I kept getting at the angle. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah.
I wish I would understand the psychology of rituals, but I think
Wizzy does the same thing every time he gets a stock. He does that
Good.
thing with his neck, you know.
Little stretch in like the mouth, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This might sound like blasphemy, but I had Karaba as number 1 this year because
I think you
he
and
was able to.
Sheeman did, right?
Yeah, me and She-Man did. I think that him being able to take a set off Isaiah, who at the time we were debating it was either number 1 or number 2, Nax 3 times, everyone else he did, and then what he did at InkaFest while getting second and still taking a set from Isaiah. InkaFest was the second hardest tournament to win, and he ran through that entire bracket. He beat everyone that you could name in South America. All of them.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So I think that Karaba, to me, had a slightly more impressive year because of the fact that he was able to do it twice, not just one time at one day. Like, would Isaiah be able to have done the same thing? I don't know. Maybe. But he didn't. He only did it once. So I gave that to Karaba. Not to take anything from Isaiah though.
I
Yeah.
think you gotta give. I think you gotta give Isaiah number one. He won SmashCon, and that's our Super Bowl. I still
Well,
allude to sports in
I
that
think
way.
if there was ever a year for SmashCon's winner to have not been number one, I think this was the one. Everything lined up as well as you possibly could have had for a non-SmashCon winner to have made it. He got second while taking a set off the person that won, and then he won dominatingly the next best tournament skill-wise. I mean, looking at his wins, like nearly every single person was like a top 15 win on his entire list.
Yeah. I would say Isaiah just needed number one just because the Isaiah is back agenda weighed a little more than setting Karaba up for the three-peat agenda,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
like Karaba
I mean,
can still get
I'm
that.
sure-
So
You know, I
Um,
like admitting. I like that you guys admit a little bit of bias. I think some people try to not be biased, but it's okay to admit to be biased. Like
Yeah.
you know,
I
in
was-
my mind, I would rate Boom higher just because I'm a Boom fan. But
a superb.
I do try to eliminate the bias as much as I can. You know, you really can't to a full degree, but you know, Isaiah having the storyline, everyone wanted to see it, and I think you don't want to have people being like, "What the fuck?" Well, Boom or Isaiah won SmashCon. He didn't give him number one over the guy that he dominated in grand finals. You know, that kind of backlash that could also affect maybe people's decision. I'm not saying it did or didn't, but
Yeah.
I could see how it would be the case. And like
Yeah, if
like
you're
Kursaro said, I think number one is good for the scene. It
Yeah.
just is. I mean, look at the engagement on his card, and it's such a close comparison. You can't go wrong as long as you had Karaba and Isaiah 1 and 2. You weren't doing anything wrong there.
Yeah. It was yeah, because that was a given just based on their years. Like I think some people if you're picking apart the data, you might lean Karaba, just because of like the volume of wins between the two tournaments. But like we're seeing in chat, Isaiah's performance like against Boom was like, so let's just talk about that run for a little bit. Just in a SmashCon, beating three former number one ranked players, 7-3 in game count against Karaba, and like I think 9 wins straight in that losers bracket, beating Boom 3-0 and then Karaba 6-0. It was just such like a dominating capstone achievement.
Yeah.
Just like going to
Yeah.
the top of the mountain, planting the flag, and everyone else like looking up is what it felt like.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic way to put it. Isaiah just, and again, it just impresses me and amazes me, and also like inspires me a little bit. So I'm not exactly young. I don't think a lot of people. We don't have too many young people in this game anymore. But Isaiah, he's hitting 40, and he's literally the best he's ever been. He is at his peak for all. Like
Yeah.
I genuinely think he's playing the best he's ever played at 38. I genuinely think that when I play him, just even in like 12 CBs, and I mentioned this, he's so hard to hit. He's by far the hardest person to hit in the game. Boom, you can hit him and he'll have an idea to like what to do. Isaiah's just not gonna let you hit him. He really
Yeah, Boom.
go
I
ahead.
was talking to Boom at frame 13, and he was saying that he feels like he's probably the best in the world at having a backup plan when something goes wrong. Like his contingency plans are really, really strong.
Yeah.
And I think that just shows in his gameplay. And like you just said, you can get him hit sometimes, but he has an answer for that moment when he gets hit.
Yeah, and he takes that as data. Isaiah, he doesn't need that data. He's
Mhm.
he's that much more knowledgeable than you. He's that much attuned to the game. He doesn't need that data. He's just not gonna let you do anything at all. And his spacing Isaiah has the best spacing in the whole game. Even better than Boom, even better than Karaba. His spacing is what makes Isaiah. Like,
Yeah.
his spacing is the best the game has ever seen. I've never seen someone be that proficient at just staying outside of your threat range and also imposing at any time. The thing about Isaiah and what makes him Isaiah is that you don't know what he's going to do. You literally don't. I can't read Isaiah. I just can't. He's literally unreadable. I don't have any else way to describe it. Name one person that
So-
thinks that they can read Isaiah. It doesn't exist.
Someone once said that Isaiah is secretly a camper. He just does it right outside your space, close enough to make it, tantalizing for you to go in there and get it, but just far enough that you're never going to.
Because you're scared.
Yeah,
Because he
Yeah.
I'll just
He
say on that point, one of the sets here that kind of went under the radar was him versus Caro, and one of the
Mhm.
games ended up going to time, and I don't think he was necessarily playing for time. It was just like how careful they were being with their spacing.
Yeah.
They didn't want to give each
He
other
didn't-
that
he
big
didn't realize
opening.
He didn't realize it until it was like 10 seconds left, I think it was, or after it had already stopped.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
Box's point about the Boom Isaiah comparison, where Boom has a contingency plan and Isaiah is more or less like he's just like, I hate to say it, but there's a natural ability there. Like, there's just something you can't learn with Isaiahs when it comes to this game. I don't think
Mhm.
we'll ever see another Isaiah. Isaiah will always just be Isaiah, and I would say that to Boom for
True.
Boom as well.
True.
But when it comes to especially Isaiah, there will just never be another Isaiah, and that's why I understand why people consider him the GOAT, because the way he plays is like absolutely his own. There's no imitating it. There's no trying to be Isaiah. Isaiah is just Isaiah, and in a way, it's inevitable. And he's always been an inevitability. So everyone, that's why the conversation has been like, oh well,
Mhm.
Isaiah would be the best if he tried, and look where we are.
Watching,
Yeah.
watching him tighten up so much the last couple years, because in like 2019 and a little bit earlier, he was dropping random sets to like you or Hammerheart. When I say you, I meant Yukun, the Japanese Falcon.
yeah.
Taime, some of these players that are like really good, but he just wasn't giving it his all. And this past year, when he had only lost to like Nax and Alvin, and this year where he only lost to Karawa, still ended up winning the tournament. I think he just pretty much eliminated all of like the iffy losses that he was collecting over the years.
Yeah, I just
And
think
Yeah, I
and
do.
ahead,
he's
Mark.
too strong. He's too strong against the top. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you saw what he did to Karaba, and Karaba does what Isaiah did to him to everybody.
Yeah. I was curious about Andy's point. All I was gonna add is that I just think that it's just a naturalness. I don't think
Mhm.
learning how to play like Isaiah will ever happen. Some people are just, it sounds hyperbolic, but I really just think like he was born to play this game. Like sometimes
Yeah.
that's just what fate decides. And
He's making his ancestors proud.
Yeah, they're very proud.
Yeah.
Just a couple things I want to touch upon with Isaiah. For a while, it felt like he really had no respect for the North American scene skill wise, and that's
Mhm.
like part of the reason he would use just so many different characters and still like perform at like a very high level. Because we'd see him
Yeah.
really only switch against the international players that he felt challenged him. I remember even on Facebook, someone was kind of talking about like kind of up in the air, like, oh, who's the best in the U.S.? Like, Wizrobe just did really good, and he just flat out was like, I four stocked this best character with my Luigi. Like, he just was
Isaiah
like,
said that.
Isaiah, yeah, he said that on like in the Facebook group. It was just
Oh
very
my God.
blunt, like matter of fact, like just kind of letting us know we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
when I watch him play like against like Wizrobe, he's very locked in. He'll be doing like any means necessary with Kirby kind of thing. Same thing against like Caro and Boom fan, and like he takes like his sets like very seriously now. I think, and it's just really cool to see. That maybe it did take like everyone else getting better for him to feel like he wanted to lock in to prove he was the best again. But I'm glad that we finally got there. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Something about so I just wanted to add something about Isaiah is that he is a troll. He's been a troll. I think the documentary that tries to like make him into this wholesome, oh, I don't want to try if it's my friend thing.
They did him
It's not-
dirty.
That's not true. Isaiah's a troll. Isaiah's been a troll. I know this from personal experience. When I first started this game, I played Isaiah when he was like as Malva, and he was just laughing at me the whole time, making fun of me, saying I suck. He didn't even want to try. And then you watch the documentary. Oh, Isaiah's got a heart of gold, and he's a very nice guy. He's a truly nice guy, but
Yeah.
he's a troll, and I absolutely am certain that some of his troll behavior with like this like underperforming is just like he's like trolling the scene. He kind of was probably just like, you guys aren't good enough, so I'm just gonna troll with like my secondaries and still whip your asses. He's a troll.
You think he
does
was
it-
secretly just waiting for all these years for us to finally get good?
maybe I can't.
I think it's kind of on the nose. I don't know if he'll ever admit that, but
Yeah.
like it seems like the past like 3-4 years or so, like he's kind of locked in. But
He surely made it seem that way.
yeah, for
that
sure.
way.
He still trolls in game too. Like even at when he's locked in, he still has. And I think that's his strong set is his ability to have fun.
Yeah,
A lot of people, they kind of look at the game like it's a chore. Isaiah's having fun no matter what. He's always laughing and smiling. I've never seen Isaiah like upset that he's lost. He smiles at the end. He's having a good time, which I think is something people really need to take from as well. Is just have fun with the game. Isaiah's always having fun. He'll always find a way to have fun, even when he's like
Mhm.
timing Boom out on the stage. He's having fun. Having fun with something that you enjoy doing is so important. And I think Isaiah, just all this time, he's just been having the most fun out of all of us. And maybe for when it came to like those sandbags, he wasn't having fun as much, like just kind of just bowling us over. So he needed to find a different way to have fun. But now he can have fun again, trying, because maybe to some extent we did figure out things, and we didn't just let Isaiah beat us with like Jigglypuff or Samus.
Well, his Jigglypuff is like stupidly good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
his puff was giving Alvin a lot of trouble, and he used it
Yeah,
to beat
I still
Jaime
think if-
last year, or not last year, but the year
Yeah.
before as well.
If Isaiah went solo Puff again, I still think he'd probably get like top 5 at SmashCon.
Yeah, no, for sure. His Puff, all his whole well, it's in contention now because Karaba beat him in that 12 CB. He definitely
Yeah.
is the world class when it comes to the 12 roster. I would say Isaiah, Karaba, Sekirei, Boom, and Josuke.
You can mention probably 5 Japanese players that are on that
Yeah, I was
level.
gonna say.
Like, some of them just play exclusively online, though. I'm not even like, I don't know, I'm not even being funny.
The Japanese did like a round robin 12 character battle in the same way that we did during COVID. And I think Karaba ended up winning like tiebreakers or something. Like it was a 3-way tie, and he ended up winning like the tiebreaker or something. But it was like him and Sekirei and like I think it was Faust or something.
Yeah,
I mean, they just go ham for these 12 character battles. So I'd have to imagine it's Isaiah, Boom, and then the rest of the top 10 are just some various order of Japanese players.
yeah.
For sure. Yeah, Isaiah, his spacing, man. The
Yeah,
best.
It's crazy,
The best.
crazy player.
Yosupa, who's that Japanese Falcon that like was just an online player that was crazy?
Izaragi?
It's probably him.
I thought it was Sin or something.
There was some
No.
guy who played like he like
Yugi.
bodied Josuke in a 12 CB, and I was
It
like,
was-
"What am I
God.
watching?"
It was Kizaragi, yeah. He
Okay.
was just some online player, and he doesn't play anymore. It kind of
Yeah,
now they have like Exy, who is like a top Pikachu.
Yeah,
player, like,
Pikachu,
beating
yeah.
up- beating up Wario, making Wario look like a fool. I would love
I
to
just
get
wish
tag
that
team.
these players would come out. Actually, on Tearso's video, somebody asked the question, where do you think Josuke would be if he was going to tournaments or whatever?
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting question. I said like around 8 to 20. Now that might be a long range, but that's what I was thinking.
8 to 20. Let's see. I'll go down the players I think he would body. At least first match. Crovey probably beats him, but he probably beats everyone else except Maha on this list because they won't know what to do.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Crowley wins the first game, and then Josuke adjusts.
As far as
I think
10 to 1, I don't know. Did him and Kyosuke ever play much? I think Kyosuke would try
No.
Falcon, but his U Falcon just isn't it. Alvin might get memed on.
Yeah, Alvin get memed on. I don't think Jaime or
I think Wizzy gets memed on because it'd be like, what is this Samus? Like he just won't. He won't
Yeah.
know it. Yeah.
I think if Wizzy plays him in a long set, he has it.
I don't think that Samus versus Yoshi is such a terrible matchup when you don't really know what to do, that it's like all that, bad for Samus. So I think Josuke's got that in the bag a little while. But speaking of,
crazy, man.
I've seen Josuke versus Karaba, and they probably played like 20 games, and Josuke took like 2.
That's wild.
So I definitely don't have him beating Karaba.
Yeah, definitely not. Especially with the U buff,
Yeah.
there's like 0 chance.
Yeah. All I wanted to add, because I assume we're closing thoughts, is that sometimes I think that 64 is on its last legs and there's nobody going to be left to play. And I think that I'm coming to change my opinion because as long as there's something that is a competition, there will be someone who wants to be the best at it. Like, it doesn't matter. There could be like a local rock throwing competition in my backwater, county. And who knows, there could be some super good rock thrower. And there's like this super hype 20-man, rock throwing scene. And
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean, right?
I think that as long as there is enough people to fill out a top 64 list, and it could be the exact same 64 people, as long as none of those 64 quit, the movement between them will be interesting for years and years.
Yeah.
So you can make a competitive scene last with not a shitload of people. Like, you don't need to be Melee getting 1,000 entrants
No, you don't.
at some of these tournaments. I appreciate being a niche little community, as long as people continue to go to things. And I genuinely feel that most of the people playing today are people that have been playing since 2015 and earlier, and everyone that had stopped playing since then, they fell off, and I don't think there's going to be a whole lot more fall off anymore, at least for a few more years.
Yeah, like I'm here. I'll play until I'm 40. I don't care. Me, Kroby, Grand Finals, SSC,
Exactly.
2029 or 35 or whatever. I don't care. I'm here until my hands stop working. I told Boom that
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. I just don't see a reason to not go to things. Like, people need a hobby.
Yeah.
And you can either have a hobby or you can sit at home all day bored and not have anything to work to. So
for me, it's just like, is the game still fun? Yes. Then why would I quit? And I've met so many great people in the scene,
especially when it's so easy. Like, if you're only needing to go to one tournament a year, and it's like the big one, and you can get qualified for the rankings because of it, why not just go? Like, maybe if you're from Washington or something and you don't really feel like it anymore, but if you're within like a 5-hour drive, it's just one weekend a year. It's like, why not?
Yeah, I want to go to more things, and I'm trying to. It's just money for me, and I don't want to ask the community to help me out.
Right. I mean, setting up carpools like we're doing is certainly easier.
Yeah. Like I want to go, and because again, I feel the 64 community love. I also like that it's a niche because I can get to know people. You know, with
Yeah.
Melee,
Exactly.
you're kind of just Joe Blow, and you really don't get to know as much people as you do in the
You
64.
don't get to know like the top people. Like you get to know like your local people, but the chance of like a random Ohio Melee player getting to like know, Mango, for example, is just not gonna happen. But
Yeah,
I could go up to Isaiah at the middle of a tournament and be like, "Hey, man, do you want to play some games?" And
yeah,
he'll be like totally down.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like just a personal Isaiah story from SSC just on that note. Um, him and Raph's layover was in Detroit, so they ended up on the same flight as me, and I got to hang out with both of them for a bit. We ended up all
That's
grabbing
awesome.
breakfast together at this place called Megabytes, and they had like an N64 setup that felt like about 5 frame delay with the LCD. Nothing was unlocked, so we just played rotation with items for like an hour, and
Items are fun.
it was just a good time. It was fun seeing Isaiah like exploit the item meta because he was playing it like seriously but still having fun, and he was just pulling
Hey,
out some really wild stuff with it.
Yeah, I
I
think
just want to let the world know that me versus Isaiah in YOLO with items, I'm undefeated.
put that on the losses.
Yeah, yeah.
That's in the resume.
Fox and
It was
Yellow.
we had that YOLO tournament back in 2020 that I got second in, losing only to Boom, and me and Isaiah both had Kirby, and I killed him with a Hitmonlee.
Nice. Yeah, all I wanted to add about the scene and stuff is that I don't like how Melee kind of like upholds their top players as like these celebrity figures. I really, really don't like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
I want the human interaction. Like when having the ability to have a human interaction with Isaiah and not it be like a fan interaction is great. Because I
Mhm.
don't
Yeah.
I'm not just a fan. I see him as like someone who shares my hobby and he happens to
Yeah.
just be really, really good at it. That's what I care about.
Everyone at the end of the day is like a fan of Isaiah. It just is. But you can get past that in the same way that you can't with like actual like celebrity types where you don't get to interact with them very often.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want that, and I don't see anyone as like that, nor do I want that for myself. I actually look down on Melee for that, trying to make their players out that way. It puts butts in the
Mhm.
seat, you know what I mean? It keeps them thriving, but I also think it really spoils the game, the people who play the
Yeah.
game, because a
I
lot of
look
them,
down on Melee.
yeah,
I look down on Melee because it's a bad game. It's not fun to play. So
yeah.
it's fucky.
Well, it's just like a lot of those like top 100s now. They're like they think they're
Mhm.
celebrities. They're just like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
top 100, so I'm a celebrity. And
Yeah.
it's
They
just
try to make a career out of it. I think that's
yeah,
cringe.
it's poisoning. It's poisoning.
Yeah.
On my
It's like, oh, I can't.
recommended, like a set with Zane popped up. I think it was like his first major tournament win. And I was like, okay, cool, let me just go see what happens. And it was literally him getting a kill opening because like Pokemon Stadium transitioned to the fan level and he caught like them on the fan, and I was like, all right. Why is this stage still legal?
What a game. What a game. All right, though, boys.
Great
This was
talking.
a great discussion. A
Love
great
speaking.
ranking season.
Yeah.
Personally, I think this was the most interesting year for 64 in terms of like the rankings and just the tournaments. The skill level was at the absolute highest. We had a ton of people come in from everywhere. Super excited for next year. I don't know how it's going to top this year, but it just might. So
Yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot of shift. You might see a lot of if the people who showed up in the top 10 might keep
mhm,
their position, but I think lower
mhm.
it's anyone's game. Like I like to mention it, and I've been making a joke about it a lot. I really do think, and because I play the man a lot, Crovy, watch out for him.
Yeah.
He's dedicated
Yeah.
to this game. He
A
plays
lot of
every day. Yeah, go ahead.
a lot of people have been saying how motivated they are for next year to get better and place better. super exciting to see. Krovi's one of them.
Yeah.
I'm ready to see all these people that are like really motivated playing these really important sets. You know, these rankings do make, you know, sets a little bit. They have that more weight to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need that. We need
So-
that in this community.
Yeah, self
Yeah.
plug box, self plug. I'm
Yeah.
trying to put it together. I'm trying to put it together.
We love it. We love it.
You've shown a lot of improvement as a Supa, and I think
Yeah, I
you're
think-
well on your way.
The only reason that, because your SmashCon last year was incredible. Your Xanadu, I think you had a fucked up controller, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I did, and I don't like it. I don't like to think about like, oh, what ifs, right? Like I accept what happened in both circumstances, and that's what I need to work on. When it came to my D1 pool, I just really crumbled, and I crumbled for reasons that wouldn't just happen if I were able to be on, you know, a higher ranking. Like that's on me as a player. Yes, I did get like discouraged and I got very much into my feelings, but you know, everyone's a killer. Like I don't think Boom thinks about like how Alvin's gonna feel when
Mhm.
you know he beats them again. He maybe even gets
Right.
a rise out of it. What I'm trying to get better at is like my mentality. My mentality's always kind of really been what I need to focus on, what I need to get better at, but also I've been trying to just improve a lot in terms
Good,
of my
good.
consistency. I'm trying to get my consistency to a level where I'm just not dropping sets anymore. I've always had this weird thing where, and Andy joked about it, but he's like, I'm like, hey, I beat this guy I wasn't seeded to beat, and he's like, oh yeah, that's a typical console Supa moment.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I guess for me to close, definitely great job, the whole panel with the rankings team. Thank you for that. Like I said,
Thank you.
I think it's with the community we have. I think, yeah, I wish we had a little bit more rivalries. And yeah, I feel like the rankings help. You know, regular tournaments get taken a little bit more
Yeah.
seriously. And obviously,
We have the
growing.
best rivalry in Smash just in this chat right now. We have me and Andykins.
And
It's
Yeah.
We
back
played at
again.
every tournament that we've ever
feel
gone
like
to.
I feel like people
Yeah.
have gotten so much better. Like I almost feel like everyone from rank 21 to basically the expansion pack are like one win away from being like interchanged. So it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
really
everyone's
cool.
so good now. Everyone's so good now.
It's-
I even wanted to mention that I think Andy's gonna be a killer too this year. Box too,
Yeah.
like
Appreciate
see
the
the-
words.
I see the will to win, and I see the improvement. And I
I was
love to see it.
looking at the player cards, Andy, and I was looking at the rankings of our wins, and we were all in the 30s, and like everyone around us, they had like wins that were being listed as like in the 50s and like the high 40s and 50s. I was like, damn, dude.
Yeah,
If we just cleaned up some of these losses a little bit.
the panel just hated us this year, but it's all good.
Yeah, dude, it's the anti-Midwest bias
Hilarious.
within the panel.
Yeah, we went too hard on the Midwest bias one year, and then it's just slingshotted back. So we'll have
I
to
really
just take
do
that
think
on the
about,
chin.
like, I really do think about what would have happened to my ranking if I had beaten She-Man, or if it was just like a best 2 out of 3 instead of Flex.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Mm.
guys are killers. I have full faith in you two.
Thank
Andy
you.
especially.
I'm really excited for Keystone. With all of us,
Hell
that'll be
yeah.
pretty dope.
I see the
Keystone
Andy
Fans,
vision for
yeah.
sure. Definitely an Andy
Oh,
fan.
definitely.
Wyzik,
Definitely.
I think you definitely could pull it together too, but you know, that's
Neil,
that's,
I like your point too about rivalries and stuff. We should pick somebody to I don't want to say pick on, but start something with, you know.
I was doing that. I did it with OJ a couple years back.
Hell yeah, dude.
I love when Patriot says Wisconsin sucks. That's his beef. He's got beef with the whole state of Wisconsin. Yeah, we need more of that. Just friendly shit talk.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
very
it
good.
can't be
Help
friendly. I
make
need some
the game-
vitriol here.
Yeah,
I might
just
start calling out me and fucking Etab the villain, you know.
Yeah.
grudge matches.
There you go.
You gonna put
Oh, man.
the little boy to bed or something?
I'm gonna try. He's getting too powerful though.
It's getting too powerful. That's another killer. So many killers this year.
Yeah.
So many killers this year.
Non-stop killers. They just don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming.
Yeah, and I've been part of the scene for a while, and I can definitely tell you the top 64 this year would just
Oh.
stomp over like the 2016. Like just
Yeah.
completely bowl them over. Like Mr. Sir could take like he could take like 20
Mhm.
of them all by himself.
I was watching, or I was going through all of the rankings, and this was last year when we were doing the 2022 rankings. I was looking at all the rankings. I was like, every year except 2017, which I thought was an absolutely loaded. If you went back and looked at the top 64 in 2017, like SKG was like 58th.
Yeah.
People like that, Finio was like 40 something. Like people like that were like filled through the rankings. You know, but 2016, 18, 19, you know, 40 to 64 were like okay. I mean, they were good. They're good players, but not quite the same. And then you look through like this year and last year, everyone's a killer.
They're all killers.
Everyone.
Yeah, everyone's a fucking killer. Everyone.
I mean, you had people not making, like Henny, for example, not making the expansion, or NoobTube or Maps, now making the expansion pack and getting wins on like players ranked 30th.
Like,
I don't think that's ever happened before.
yeah,
it's wild.
Yeah.
it's insane. I kind of almost hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Just kind of go over it, and I can tell you if I think they're a killer or not. I'm sure I'm just gonna say killer. All right, let's see. Mr. Sir, killer. Hooded, he's good. Bo, good. Cheers. Sometimes Reefy, he's good. Danky's good. Empty's good. PYT is good. Killer. Well, he's killer. Narwhal's really good, actually. I think he's underrated. Wolf, good.
Narwhal's very good.
Dino, let's go, good. Box, good. Andy, good. Yid, he beat Frey. He's definitely good in my eyes. Paco, good.
Mhm.
Blonde Kid, killer. Jaden, he beat my ass, good. OJ, 3-hit king. Hotline, good. KO Ken, good. Natty, good. EPAD, JPX, Frank, you know,
Oh no.
all killers,
Oh.
all killers. I don't see anyone who I'm like, yeah, this is free.
Yeah.
There's nobody on this list I'd say, yep, I'm just
To
gonna
me,
win.
This year was the biggest argument for expanding the top 64. Now, I'm not saying we will or should. I'm just saying parts of me felt like it would be the best solution for how many people were good this year.
Yeah, make it top 80.
I like 64 as what it is, and then
Yeah.
I would consider like expansion pack and hidden boss, kind of like the cutoff. I think that's fine. I don't think I would
Yeah.
change that at all. Like Sam is good. Sam is Flossie Jones. Sam, he's good. He's a good player. Combo
Yeah.
good.
Great
Rambo,
wins.
D-Moles, Boba, Blugo, MHJ is good. Cool Lime is good. Free and Raz,
Any
Finio.
one of those guys could have been top 55.
Yeah, for sure. Like probably
Yeah.
just a win away or a loss away kind of thing is what it really felt like. I did look over my my list, and I had like I was really on the fence on choosing like two between Sir, Soto, Freon, and D-Moles, just to give an idea of like
Yeah.
just
I
how
think
tight some
that's
of those
fair.
spots were.
That sounds right.
I think D-Moles, if I feel bad for not ranking anybody, it was D-Moles. But,
Yeah.
you know, I was looking through Mr. Sir and him, and they had like very similar records, but Mr. Sir had the head-to-head. And I was like, fuck. Okay, well, you know what? It
Yeah.
is what it is.
It is what it is. Like, there's always going to be like cutoffs every year that
Yeah.
feel a little rough to make. So,
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it? I just want to say as a closing thought, is it weird that I'm happy that everyone's so good now? Like, I don't know. It just makes me happy.
No, it's
I think it's good.
fantastic.
I think it's great for the game because, like, even like as a player and a spectator, especially, like, I can just stand behind and watch a match and just be like, oh shit, and then
Mhm.
like everyone's having moments where I'm like, oh, I didn't know he had it like that, you know, like they're
Yeah.
doing some like even though maybe all their game isn't there, there's like top like 70-ish players that have like their top 10 moments or like that one thing that they're
Mhm.
like a fucking pro at.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
just
I
really
I think
cool to
it-
see.
Yeah, I love
It
watching
makes
it.
the tournament-
Yeah.
Mhm. It makes going to tournaments a lot more satisfying too, because like you can go 50-50 at a tournament and still feel like you did good. Like you can go to Battle of the Border and, you know, get 5 good wins, and then you lose to like another 5 people, and you're just like, that's fine with me because I got 5 good wins, and the people I lost to are still good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, 64 scene is dope. Wouldn't be in a different community. Love you guys a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I love everyone in 64. It's a great scene.
Yo, Box, just check my Discord question before you go.
Okay, let's figure it out. Give me 1 second.
I am most scared of Kroby though. That man is on a mission, and I
he's
think
grinding.
he's gonna bowl everyone. I'm not kidding. I
And,
can
like,
see Kroby
It's
getting
called,
top
like,
8
time
this year.
I
chamber.
could too.
Yeah,
Andy, can I answer this on stream?
Yeah, that's fine. You
Would
can.
you travel back in time and kill your bracket demon as a baby? Other than the morals of this,
I would break
obviously,
his
morally
64.
speaking, no. But even taking out the morals, also no, because I just have too many.
Okay.
I just have too many. I mean, that would eliminate the whole scene.
I would have to kill Robert, and if you asked 2016 me, I'd like hit the button immediately. I wouldn't even think about it. But now I've come to warm up to Robert a lot and admire him.
That's-
He's
Yeah,
very
Robert
funny.
used to be an asshole. He used to be an asshole, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah, he was an
Andy and
asshole.
I and our girlfriends went out to eat with him after SmashCon, and it was like super pleasant. The dude's amazing.
He's so
Yeah,
wonderful.
he really had a big background, I must say.
He's still
Yeah.
got that shitter in him, which I love. That's what I appreciate about him. It comes out.
I still-
He's got like the
Yeah.
best one-liners when it comes to jokes.
He still deserves it, though. He still deserves it because he keeps his Twitter private.
Yes,
Oh,
Robert
man.
is an asshole. He's softened.
One of
Yeah.
his zingers back in the it was like at Curb Stomped. We like walked by like an Asian place that was called Wasabi, and he was like, "Imagine if they just called an American place Ketchup."
Great guy. Definitely a
Oh,
Robert
God.
fan now.
Oh
Definitely
man.
a Robert fan.
Yeah, I'm a big Robert fan. I like the guy.
Awesome discussion. Thanks for letting me blab for like 2 hours. Hopefully I didn't like, just talk over everyone.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Andy, thank you for having this as a thing. We need more content.
Yeah.
Henny earlier said something about the GOAT conversation, making that a video. That would be super interesting if that's something you're ever interested in doing.
Yeah. I mean, I still need to work on editing and all that shit, but I have some
Yeah.
decent things in mind that I want to put together. Maybe
Sweet.
some like small scripts and stuff like that too.
Sweet.
Yeah,
All right, though,
Andy,
boys,
good-
I
good
must be getting to
series,
bed.
man. Good series.
This
Thanks
was a
for
lot
Yeah.
of fun.
This was great.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, guys. Like, it was
Yeah,
wonderful having
absolutely.
everyone. Thanks for coming in chat.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Good night, guys.
Yeah, good night,
All
Neil.
right, night, dudes.